There we go. So we're recording at this time. But this class is a series of classes that are offered by the MRC through through ASHE, and 4 chapters have already made use of this this program as far as education. So if there's something else your chapter wants to do, or you have another subgroup, we could also do the same thing. Now, right now, this is through the Ohio chapter. They've set this up and advertised it. So right now we have about 40 signed in. We have almost 100 who signed up. They always like to wait to the last second. I know many of you probably show up at your inspections with a minute to spare. Okay, someone called in, or it says waiting for name number 41, waiting for name 42. I don't know if those are real people or just signed in. And caller number 3, if you could type in your name. Are we giving credits for this, Ken?
Yes, sir. Everyone's getting 3 CEs for the session.
Okay, if you want credit for this, you have to type in your name on the screen. I'll be sending the list back to Ohio. The nice thing about GoToMeeting is it keeps track of who's online with their name. If it says caller 3, then no one knows who you are. You have to type in your name, and then I'll send the list back to Ohio to verify that you were on for at least 50 minutes per credit hour. We'll be taking a break on the hour. And many of you probably don't realize there's time zones in the U.S. So for me, it's 6 in the morning. It's very nice this time of the morning. This week will be the first week it was below 80 at 6 a.m. in the morning. So
you look like you're in a radio booth, Brick.
Yes, I'm in a radio booth. Oh, here, wait a minute. Let me. I'm gonna stand up so you can see my logo. There you go. Whoops, right here.
Where you type your name in at?
You type it in to the left of the chat box.
Left of the chat.
The chat box has 2 little people, 2 little memes, and it has a number above it. Your name shows up, and if not your name, if you're on the, what's your name?
You're on.
I'm Martin Williams. I'm on it.
Oh, there you go. In the middle of that window, Martin. And type
Yes.
It'll say edit. Find it.
Not really.
Yeah, you can type it where you go up with your name under the.
Yeah. No. Type in your name.
Yeah. So I'm gonna find you. So you're Brian Frilling. Your kids.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you need to mute your mic. I don't know if the kids are in your house. Thank you. Okay.
Rick and Ken, I believe originally it was 9 to 12 for the meeting, so there may be some that are going to tune in around 9.
Okay. Is that 9? Is that 9 in your time, or are you guys up at 8 or something?
9 our time.
Okay. What time is it there now?
8:54.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. 8:54. So that's 9. Yeah, we got about 6 minutes. So.
I still don't see a place to type in your name.
Okay. Let me find your name on here. Maybe it's So this is Brian, or who are you? I'm sorry. Who's talking?
Jerry Salante.
Oh, Jerry. Okay. It could be the way we. Oh, look at the mic here. When you first signed in, you were supposed to put your name in, but that's okay. So there's a box. If somebody can tell.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. If there's somebody there that sees a box, can tell them what to look at. My screen is different than yours, and you have to find his name, and you click on your name, and next to the microphone, there's a little V-shaped area, and you can edit that.
Jerry, if you look at the top of your screen, you'll see a number and then you'll see two little memes right beside the number. That's where you want to click on in order to add your name to the call.
Okay, apparently my name's on there now, but I looked before, it wasn't there, but I didn't add anything to the call. It just, there's no box or anything that I could add to, and at least the screen I'm seeing.
Okay, no, that's fine.
But anyway, I'm on there now, so I mean, I'm wondering if other people are having the same issue, but
Yeah.
I'm on there now, so everything's fine.
Oh, perfect, perfect. Okay, caller number 3, you need to add your name. Someone put their name as David, whatever your last name is, unless there's less Davids. We got 4 Davids signed in here this morning. Dean Rankin, you're back. You're on the web now. Okay. Forrest, you're up. Hey, Forrest, can you unmute your mic? Ken said you want to speak at the 10 o'clock hour. Is that?
Yeah, that'd be okay. That way, in case anybody's a little bit late, we can get the most people.
Okay.
Make sure we talk to whoever, as many as we can.
Okay. Well, I've gone ahead and turned on the recording button. So we're recording everything this morning, so you can put this on your website or however you want to do it and play back everything we're looking at today on the screen. So anything you see on the screen right now is recording. And
Okay, that's great.
Okay, excellent. So we're not going to spend a lot of time reading anything on the screen. We're going to look at the pictures, discuss what we see, and move along. So we've got 3 different subjects today. Heat pumps, servicing heat pumps. I don't know if you look at a lot of those, so we'll see. We'll take a vote here in a minute to see what we have. So about 10 of you have cameras, so it'll be pretty easy to take a vote from there, just a thumbs up or down for time, and the majority rules on this one. But we have 50 minutes on each subject. So this morning, the first one is air conditioners, basically, and heat pumps. Then we're going to go to the next subject, and then we'll finish up with defects of electrical. We're going to do forced air gas furnaces also, and venting.
Really?
Really? Oh, that's someone else.
Ken, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Go ahead.
I'm trying to log in on my computer. This is Fab Blueball, and it will not take my login ID.
You don't need a login ID. Just click on the link that we sent you, the shortcut, and it should bring you right up into it. Click on the link that we sent, and it'll come up on your screen. If you don't have the program on there, it'll say you need to load the program.
All right.
You have 2 different ways to do it. You click through the program, or you go web. I usually just click on the link, and it takes a second, it loads, and then up you come. And if the program is not on your computer, it'll say loading program.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be joining in a moment on this then.
Sure, no problem. We can hear you. It's crystal clear. Hello, David Carroll.
Well, good morning.
Good morning. So David and I, David likes to get up at 3 a.m. That would be 6 your time file. I didn't get up quite that early, but so on your screen, you see the names of the people who've signed in. If you make that box bigger, if you have a double screen, it'll bring up their names so you can actually see who they are. And if they're on a camera, you'll see their pictures also. So that's sort of nifty. So Martin, it says you have a camera, but if you wanted someone to see you, have to click on the camera and they show the screen. There's a microphone, there's a little camera, and there's a leave meeting button. But 6 a.m. We're going to wait 3 or 4 more minutes. Right now we have 45 of the. They actually said we could have up to 200, but I'm looking here on the screen. It says 151. That's interesting. We have different portals available again, for different classes, we've had as many as 250 people online on some of the web stuff that's been done back when March and April. If any of you have any questions, you go to the little lasso at the top, click on that. That's the chat box. It says enter your message. You type that in and we'll answer your question. If you have to talk, click on your microphone and then state what your question is so everybody can hear you. Hi, Steve. Thanks for coming. And then we'll move on. There we go. We're getting a whole pile of people signing in now. Everyone must be waiting to sign in exactly at 6:01.
Or 901 in Midwest.
Oh, I'm sorry, caller number 6. Thank you. So the feedback loop occurs when your microphone is near your headset. So if you put your headset on, it'll stop doing that. Or you're using a hearing. Thank you. Okay, so those of you that just sound on, this is a sound test. If you can hear my voice, then it's working. I've got my thumb. Oh, here's my mic. So you're set to go. The first couple of pictures actually have sound. So when they come up, if it's too loud, just turn down your sound. Thank you. Thank you, Travis. Who is owner? Someone put their name down as owner. If you want to have credit for this, you're going to have to type your name in. Someone also type their name in as user. You're going to have to click next to the mic.
Hey, Brick,
Yes, who is this?
this is Forrest.
Hi, Forrest.
I have someone here who is trying to get, I have an inspector that's signed up and hasn't received the login yet. That is Craig Van Cullen.
Okay. I have his email. If you can send him the link. For me to do that, I'd have to close a screen here to.
Yeah, I could do that. If Craig, can you hear me?
Hey, Forrest, this is Blaine. I just private messaged him.
Good. Okay.
Just told him to forward the login email he has to his inspector.
Okay.
Perfect.
Understood.
And the inspector can sign in.
He had a login, but he just hadn't shared that. Okay. Understood.
Right.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. And the login for everybody, we've done it so you don't have to type in anything. You just click on the link. The link comes up. It says if the program's not there, it'll load it, and then the program gets loaded, and then you continue on from that point of view. 9:06. Let's see, we had about 10 people sign in. Okay, we've got 50 of the 96 signed in, so the rest of them are either trying to sign in or they think it's tomorrow. Okay, well, oh, okay. Ron Lopez is probably as owner. Thank you. Okay, so Ron, what you need to do is go over to the people. It's two little memes. It has number 50 on it, and you scroll down till you find O for owner. And next to the microphone, there's a little V-shaped caret pointing downward. Type on that or click on that, and then type your name in. Okay.
Rick Forrest again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think, what do you think about let's just go?
Okay, well, I'm recording this, so this can be shown. Yeah, it looks like the final flurry. Okay, everybody, thank you. This is Brick Gabor. I'm doing your class today for Ohio. You're going to get credits for this sent to you. Thank you for coming, Thad. You're going to get credits for this. If you have any questions, please type it into the chat bar. The chat bar is the lasso. It's white at the top right hand of your screen or left. You turn on your headset, and Dudley, it's on right now so you can hear. We're not going to spend a lot of time reading print on the screen. We're going to look at the pictures and discuss those and move on. So it'll be more fast-paced. We're going to be doing heat pumps first, talking about the new changes for Freon and refrigeration. Then we're going to move on to venting for gas furnaces, the new venting requirements for forced air gas and propane furnaces. And then we're going to finish up with defect recognition on electrical. So that should make Lee all happy at that point because he gets to see some of that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to start the first video. At this point, we can see some condensate forming its pan. The forced air gas furnace. When you take a look at this, you can see the soot, the black soot here, and possibly some mold. Now, is my mouse showing on the screen? Okay, there's some black soot here, and that soot is blowing up. Here you can take a look at the vent pipe, and you can see the burn back, or we'll call it drafting back towards the hood. This is an older type furnace, so there's no induction fan on this. This is a just normal draft. Most of these are gone, but in case you have one. So in this case, the condensate pan is leaking, and it's leaking down through the unit. This is a heat pump. This is the outdoor coil. If you listen to that noise, you notice the fan isn't moving. Okay, at this point, we have a couple choices what it is. Either the outside fan is locked up, it's not moving, but I hear that humming noise. The run start capacitor could be off, and we could have the compressor going. At this point, would we have any cooling on the inside? None whatsoever. We'll have the fan running, and so again, just based as inspectors, you would say, well, something's not working here, and you'd write it up. I don't like to use the word further review, but many of you might write that up. Okay, this system here is we look at it for a heat pump on the outside or outdoor coil. If you do have a heat pump in your area and it's air to air, that's what this one is, they're going to be very inefficient. Now everyone says, oh, they do work. Well, sure they work. We can remove latent heat down into 0 or below, but the problem here is the efficiency ratio of these heat pumps is dramatically decreased. So unless I have a ground source system, and I was in Ohio, I saw a lot of these, and they work very, very well. This says 12 SEER. The starting level for SEER rated units today is 14 SEER and above. So that's what you're going to have. fan is running intermittently, and so we have a problem associated with some device on that. We're not sure what, so we'd write it up and state it's not running properly, and then we'd go in and do our delta T or our temperature split and see what we have. In this case here, the installer likes to leave parts available for us so we can find them. So this is bad. If you look down here, you can see the disconnect box is laying on its side. It's broken off the conduit. When it breaks off the conduit, that's incredibly dangerous because the conduit wants to push its way up through the concentric rings on the bottom of the disconnect. So you write that up as an unsafe condition. Many of you might want to open that up. If you do, you're living life, crazy life. Try not to do that. So in a case like this, I wouldn't be touching anything. Here's the fan. Now, many of you, when you look at these outside units where this is located, you'll see a splice sometimes hanging off on the top or a waterproof splice. These fans are not OEM. They're not original. So they'll run a forward or reverse. So the installer, when they install the fan on the outside, the issue is that fan can run right or left. So they have to figure out which way it runs depending on the picture.
On the link, my name is still on that.
Somebody, caller number 8, we can hear you. Okay, so here's what the class is all about today. How to inspect cooling systems standards that ASHI and many states have adopted. Okay. So your requirements are that you're supposed to open readily accessed panels. You're supposed to inspect permanently installed equipment, not wall units. In other words, it fits in a window. You're supposed to tell us the energy source and what the system actually is. Okay, the definition by law in Ohio is an operating normal controls such as thermostats, switches, and valves intended to be operated by the homeowner. So we're not asking you to inspect something that's hard to do. You walk over to the thermostat, you turn the dial, and it goes on. Those are the requirements. You're not required to inspect electrical, air cleaning, and sanitizing devices. Okay, electronic air cleaner would be things like a bug zapper. You're not required to determine the cooling supply adequacy. In other words, everyone has a rule of thumb, and the rule of thumb typically is how many square feet of cooling do we have available based on the we have. Okay, caller number 8, I'm going to mute his microphone. There we go, quieter. Inspect cooling units that are not permanently installed or installed in windows. So typically, if you have a window unit and it's in a bedroom, it's wrong anyway. What's the requirement for bedroom windows? They have to open. So if I have a wall unit in there, it's wrong already. So we have to write it up and move on. There has to be 2 sources of exit out of all bedrooms. Inspect cooling units using ground source. So if you have a ground source, which you have in Ohio, water source, solar or renewable energy technology, you do not have to inspect it. But you can turn it on to determine whether it's functioning. Now, your standards, which I think are getting accepted by the state, these are your standards, basically. Okay, the basis of air conditioning or heat pumps is we're removing latent heat. So look at the bottom of the page here. An air conditioner or a heat pump is a device that moves heat from one place to another. It picks up the heat from inside your home and moves it to the outside. We're removing latent heat. The opposite's true if I'm going to have a heat pump. There are 3 types of heat pumps: air-to-air, water source, and geothermal. Okay, geothermal is the most common one I saw in Ohio. It's a ground source. We'll drill a hole into the ground and you'll look around, you won't find the compressor because you don't need one. They collect the heat from the ground, the air, or anywhere that we might need it. Okay, I'm not going to read all these here because we're going to look at pictures. A lot of your units today, they're 2-speed or they're multi-speed. We'll be talking about those and taking a look at some pictures and how to inspect them. Dual speed. Scroll compressor is the most common. When you take a look at your outdoor unit, you'll look in there and the scroll compressor will be a round cylinder, fairly tall, 1 foot to 2 feet high. And that's your scroll compressor, a little bit different than the older types. This is how a scroll compressor functions. It spins around concentric rings, and as it spins, it compresses the refrigerant, and the refrigerant absorbs the latent heat, and the compressor works as it's required to. So when we say the word compressor, that's how they're functioning. Okay, the efficiency of today's air source heat pumps is a result of technical advances. We have expansion valves. So one of the things we'll talk about when you're looking at these units is we have a TXV valve. TXV valves control the flow of freon or refrigerant into the unit, and from that, it allows the unit to cool properly or heat. That's the most common item that's deficient on these units, as we'll discuss. So those that have a camera on, thumbs up. How many of you do a delta T or a temperature split with the thermometers? Okay, about 50% of you. The rest of you must just stand there in front of it and go, "Oh, that's warm," or "That's hot." You don't do it. You don't turn it on. You don't say, "Oh, I'm getting heating and cooling." Okay, so our standards. Let's go back here real quick. In our standards, the inspector shall inspect. Does it say we even have to determine that it's working? Does it say anywhere here that we have to determine that it's cooling? It says we have to operate it. It should probably say, did it cool or did it heat? But it's asking you to describe the energy source and the cooling system. They're taking it. They figure, well, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, oh yeah, sure, it does heat or cool. Okay. Okay, here are the requirements. Oh, here we go. For every cold climate, I want everyone to see this. You can extract useful heat as cold as 30 Celsius. I did this for our Canadian friends, sorry, or 22 Fahrenheit, negative. Okay, but the coefficient of performance is pitiful. So when someone says, yeah, heat pumps work in cold weather, sure they do, but it just won't heat because the coefficient of performance is fairly pitiful. Okay, so just want to let you know that. Okay, the clearances for all outdoor coils. These are the requirements, and this is from Rheem's own site. Rheem is one of the largest manufacturers. They sell off their equipment to other people. So I need a minimum of 12 inches on all three sides. Service side should be 24 inches and 48 on top. Who came up with the 40-inch on top? The manufacturer did. That means I have to have air circulation so I don't have a short cycling of air. So 48 inches is the air has to come in through the sides and out through the top. I have to be on a solid level foundation and minimize the refrigeration length of the lines. Okay, now in your area, it's based on snowfall. So certain parts of your state, I have to elevate the unit per the local climate and code requirements to provide clearance above the estimated snowfall level and ensure adequate drainage of the unit. So you'll go to a unit on a new house and you wonder, why is it up on a stand? Well, somebody in the building department said, oh, okay, I need a stand. There's your stand. It's up above the ground. Now, if you're in a flood zone, the requirement is it has to be above the flood zone for your area. How do you know if you're in a flood zone? Well, I doubt this is a flood zone. Look at that window over there for my lower level. Now, if you're going to take a picture and put it in a report form, take a look up there. There's a piece of siding missing. You're going to write that down. Many of you might write down the siding. You look at the seams, they're coming apart. Some of your manufacturers require a butt with caulking between the seams. I can see a gap up there between each one. It looks like a ½ an inch. Looks like our product has shrunk. I can see a vent coming out the side. I'm not sure if that's, I'm not sure what that vent is for. We'd have to turn it on and figure it out. But this unit's, is this a heat pump or is this a combination? It's hard to tell from here. I see some venting on the side. So we'd have to go farther. Okay, ground depth, snow inches. Let's find Ohio on here. Is Ohio in this one? You know, so I put West Virginia in here just to make everyone seem. I don't see O for Ohio. Either way, so this is the list that's in the building department requirements. So if you're in Sioux Falls, it's 38 inches. If you're in South Dakota, it looks like it's about 40 inches for almost everywhere you're at.
It looks like 16 inches in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, you see Cleveland there? Okay, very good.
Yep, second column at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Okay, very good. Oh, yeah, there it is, Ohio, Akron, Canton, 16 inches. So that's the requirement. So if you're doing new inspections on houses, that is the requirement on the building code for those areas. And that's the manufacturer's requirement for ream. Okay. Thank you. The unit must be level. So many of you say, well, who says? The manufacturer does. These are not code requirements. These are from the technical manual from ream about their units. So it must be level within 3/8 per foot. The compressor on a scroll compressor can operate at an angle, but the manufacturers also state it can't be out by more than 3/8 in a foot. Okay, low voltage must be separated from high voltage. What's that mean? Thermostat wire must be through a separate conduit. Okay, now everybody keeps talking about the fuses and what the requirement is. Take a look here. Proper circuit protection recommendations are indicated on the unit rating plate. Time delay fuses are required to prevent blowing due to starting current, the current rush. If it says it needs a fuse that's 40 amp or 45 or 50, that's what it means. It doesn't mean you can put a 60 in there. The manufacturer's telling you what they want. So I see electricians come up and say, oh, we could go, 20% more, 10% or 80% or whatever, startup. I don't care. The manufacturer tells you what they want, and it's got to be a time delay. Okay, this unit here is not level. Are we going to write that up? We are. The manufacturer states that's the case. The access point is facing towards us, so I have my access, my gas meter in the back. I have a problem here. What's the distance I have to be from my gas meter to an ignition source to the vent coming off this unit?
Greater than 36.
Greater than 36 inches. Who makes that rule? Your gas company. Okay, it's not the meter. What is it, Dave?
It's the vent output at the bottom of the vent.
Okay, so you can measure that from that side. So this can't be within 36 inches of there's a window, there's an ignition source. Now, the outdoor units have to have a disconnect within line of sight. A disconnect within line of sight. So here's my panel. There's my line of sight. As an inspector, we need to make sure the thermostat is set. A lot of times it's not set properly. The report says the unit didn't work. Well, you have to set it for heating or cooling. If it's in the auto position, the heat pump turns on and off and keeps it exactly at 70. I don't even know why they have that on there, because it's sort of crazy, because then the unit never shuts off. The heat pumps or air conditioners, the main issue we have is that the filter is dirty and your unit is starved for air. The new units have a pressure switch built into them. They will not operate. Check the indoor and outdoor disconnect switches, confirm circuit breakers are on and that fuses have not blown. Reset breakers. Okay, we are not resetting breakers. We are not replacing fuses. Is that true? Yes, that's true. We're not doing that. Inspect the outdoor unit for clogged condenser coils, grass, leaves, dirt, dust, or lint. Ensure that branches or twigs are not obstructing the condenser fan. How much space do we need around the condenser fan? 12 inches around the exterior and 48 inches above it. Is that the same for heating and cooling? Yes. Here's our thermostat. Many of you say, well, I don't operate it. Well, I don't know how you're going to operate the AC unit without taking care of it or the heat pump. So you'll punch that up or you'll ask the owner to set it for you. This is hair on the outside unit. If we have hair, it doesn't matter what my settings are, whether it's cooling or heating, I'm writing this up that this has to be cleaned because the unit will not function properly. If I'm doing a delta T or a temperature split on the interior, and I'm checking my temperatures, it will not function properly because I don't have proper airflow through the outdoor coil. One filter is clean and one is dirty. I can't tell, but I'll let you decide. It was not purchased this way. Now, your filter has to go in a certain way and there's an arrow in it, and the arrow determines the path of air through it. When the filter gets dirty, my unit is starved for airflow and it will not function properly. So some manufacturers state that monthly replacement of the filter is needed. Some of you say, oh, I wouldn't do it that much. Whatever. Once it's packed full of dirt, it just won't function. Okay, your filters are rated with a MERV rating of 5 to 8. This MERV rating is something designed by the manufacturers of these filters, so you'll buy more filters. But the filters are rated according to the amount of airflow through them. So if I put a MERV rating of 8, it restricts the flow and my blower actually slows down. So the rationale behind this is if you look and I see light through the one on the left, that's good. I don't see light through the one on the right, that's bad. You need to replace the filter. Your unit is starved for air. Okay, do not locate the unit on unstable surfaces. It can't be near a clothes dryer or exhaust vent. Who says that? The manufacturer says it. It's not a code issue. So again, many of you say, I'm not a code compliance inspector. You don't have to be. It says right in the installation requirements, it can't be near a dryer vent. It shouldn't be near a sleeping area or near windows. Under the eaves. Now, a lot of people don't realize under the eaves where water or snow or ice can fall directly on the unit. What it states is that if the eaves are directly above the unit and it can fall directly down onto the fan, it's wrong. So an air conditioner, an outdoor coil for a heat pump or an air conditioner cannot be under the fall line of the eaves. That's what it's saying. So if ice or snow can fall off and hit that fan on the heat pump cycle, it stops the fan from running. If you have 2 units, this is pretty neat. If I have 2 units, I need 2-foot clearance from the second unit. Why 2 feet? Well, because one is 12 inches. Okay? So I need 2 feet of space between 2 exterior units. Otherwise, I get short cycling. Now, you can take a picture of this page so you don't have to write it. On your screen, there's a little camera on the right-hand side. Just click on that and it'll copy these pages for you. So you go to your screen, I'll wait a second while you type that, or you take your camera out and snap a picture of the page. Okay. Who requires this? The manufacturer requires it. It's very simple. Now, if they don't believe you and you have the book, the installation manual that's there, just pull it out and there it is. It's right there in writing. Okay. These are right out of the book, guys. Guys or gals, I don't know what we got here. Okay, here we go. Fiberglass. Fiberglass cannot be in the cold air return or the air plenum. Fiberglass. Now, when I say fiberglass, we're talking about friable fiberglass. This is the fiberglass that would be in the walls of your house. Sometimes you remove the filter and down inside where the cold air return is, we have fiberglass bats of insulation. If I can grab it and pull it out and it's fluffy, it can't be in there. Okay. Now, the fiberglass matting material, it's like a board. That's okay because that's not friable. Friable is that term we use when the product is loose and it's in the air. If you start coughing when you remove this stuff, it's bad for you. Okay. Okay. Now, when the evaporator coil is installed in an attic above a finished ceiling, everyone goes, oh, I like having it there because when it leaks, the ceiling falls in. Well, that's the whole issue here. The condensate overflow would result in property damage. The installer must provide an auxiliary pan in addition to the primary and secondary drains. Okay, so when I have a unit in the attic, I need a pan or I need a safety cutoff switch. I like to have both myself, but I need one of those. If it's not there, you need to write it up so the ceiling doesn't fall in. Okay, let's take a look at our first unit here. In this case here, we're up in an attic. Furnaces can lay on their side. Now, this is a forced air gas furnace, not a heat pump. I know that because I see the gas flue pipe, I can see my pan, and I see 2 drains. So take a look here. Here's a drain coming off. Here's another drain. So one of the drains is for my pan. That's my requirement for my pan. And if I'm in my attic on a newer house, or you're doing a remodel, if you notice here, the pan is strapped upward. If I'm in a trussed building, I cannot support this unit on the floor of the truss unless the truss is designed for that weight. So that's why this chain is here at the top, because I must have the chain or the pipe strapping product to the top of the webbing on the truss itself. We cannot support weight from the bottom of the truss unless the truss is designed for that weight. How will you know? It'll be stamped. There'll be a sticker on it saying that weight can be supported there. So you're going to turn this on downstairs and it's going to operate. You're going to stand up here and you're going to see if there's any airflow leakage out of this ductwork. Some of you may remove this and take a look in there and see how the burners are running, and you're going to see a nice blue flame. And you're going to check the filter downstairs. These newer units like this are pretty self-efficient. Okay, we can tell here that there's something wrong. Water has been filling up the pan. Now we're not going to have condensate in our pan unless we have high humidities, because heat pumps or air conditioners are dehumidifiers. That's why your air is so dry. It's removing humidity from the air. So let's take a look here and see what we got. So in this case here, their secondary drain, for some reason, instead of it running out of the primary, is running out of this drain. So I have a problem here. I would probably call the service technician up here to find out why they left this open. This water should just be coming down the drain and off on its merry way. Now, on PVC, here, take a look. Do you see the blue primer right here? Do you see the blue primer? There's no primer anywhere else here. So you could grab this pipe and pull it, and it probably pulls apart because there's no glue on it. Some locations, they leave one of these fittings apart so you can pull it apart and clean it. Maintenance-wise, the manufacturer tells you to put some surfactant in this drain annually. You'd pour it down this vent here at the top, and the surfactant would keep this line clear, and you use that with warm, tepid water. Surfactant is nothing special. It's just dish soap. David, Carl, you want to talk about this one?
Let's see here. Oh, we've got a primary condensate with the P-trap going down. We've got an elevated secondary pan. It looks like it's connected there.
Okay.
And we're supporting the structure from the webbing, but we're also anchoring it to the floor. See that counterbalance strap there, probably so it won't sway back and forth.
Okay. And gas line?
Looks like missing a drip leg or a sediment trap.
Okay, and a lot of guys are writing this up as CSST. What is this actually, this product here? Connector? Yeah, so this is a connector.
Connector, flexible metal conduit.
Right, so this is a connector. It's designed, it has a yellow tag on it. This is not CSST as some people are writing down. It has connectors on each end. There's a rule about the length of this. I don't remember what it is. I think it's not over 6 feet or something. But I'm quite sure somebody here can nod their head. Yeah, it's 6 feet. Okay. Also, your ductwork and your ceiling straps on that have to be what size, David?
1.5 inches.
Okay. And we have the luminized cover instead of a PVC cover, so we're pretty happy with that stuff. Anything else there? I think that's about it on that one. Okay, the auxiliary drain pan, it should be installed below the supply plenum. It should be 2 inches deep. Let's go back and look. So this pan has to be 2 inches deep. Who says that? The manufacturer. And it has to be 2 inches larger in all directions than the supply plenum. A separate drain line, auxiliary pan drain to the open should be provided. This is the code reference. So you can go ahead and take a picture of this. This is your reference in the mechanical code. Condensate disposal, auxiliary and secondary drain systems. This has been a requirement since air conditioners were designed back in the 40s and 50s. And again, we're not code compliance inspectors, but if you're inspecting something that's put in by somebody, this is the requirement. Okay, this is a picture of your coil that's hidden away. And again, this could be a heat pump coil. We don't have, the reversing valve wouldn't be here. This coil, is this inside or outside? This would be inside.
Inside.
Inside. This is an A-frame coil because it's like the letter A. Here it is. So in this case, it's got capillary tubes right here. A lot of them would be a TXV. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Suction line header, line seal plug, orifice extension. Man, some of these words you're going, well, what are they? Who cares? You don't need to know what any of these things are unless you're going to the next level. We're just home inspectors. We do the inspection, we determine what's wrong, we collect our money, and we leave for the day. Okay, I put down the list of the different names and what other manufacturers and what they make. This is sort of crazy. Trane makes American Standard. United Technology is Carrier, Bryant, Payne, Day and Night, and Tempstar. Lennox, Duquesne, Armstrong, Concord, Allied, and Aries. What's interesting about these, they buy out all these other people, their competitors, and then they sell them so that they have competitors. Rheem also owns Rude. Goodman, which makes Amana and Janitrol. Goodman originally, when they came out, were manufactured and made in Thailand. They were like the junk of the system, but now they're better than Amana and Janitrol. York makes Coleman and Luxair. Nortec Global, Maytac, Westinghouse, Frigidaire, Kelvinator, and others. Kelvinator, I think, is sort of gone, but either way. Consumer Reports. This was sort of an interesting thing when I did the research here. The reason why brands like Lennox, Carrier, and Trane are considered to be better than others is those companies are selective about who they let install their products. What's that mean? Well, they won't sell it to just anybody. So when I go down to the store and say, hey, will you sell me a Lennox? They'll say no, not unless you're a licensed heating and cooling company. So that's the issue there. Okay, we're taking a look in the blower compartment. Heat pumps, forced air gas. I can see my motor. Now, is there anybody here who doesn't look and find the filter? You all find the filter, right? Okay, you do. So if you take a look in here, this is the blower compartment, the air plenum. I remove the filter, and this is dirty. This should not be dirty. If it's dirty, it means the filter's not doing its job. I'm going to need servicing of the system. If you take a mirror, you can look around this blower motor and check on the inside and see that the blower is dirty. Now, the new units are multi-speed or variable speed. Okay, proper support of the outdoor units. I like to put this one here because tires are the best. I think water's ponding on the roof. What do we think? Oh, I don't think the outdoor units are the issue. So these are heat pumps, high efficiency, back in their day probably, but they had a lot of vibration here, so they said they installed these. Okay, so if you have a low slope roof, these would be installed, and the distance between these two has to be what? A minimum of
2 feet.
Minimum of 2 feet. Okay. The U.S. government has all these efficiency ratings. Again, we'll skip that. The statement about heat pumps is their efficiency rating. Their special names. Seasonal energy performance factor for a heat pump. That's your rating for those. Okay. Again, we may not see a lot of those, but SEER rating, seasonal energy. Here it is for you right here for air conditioners. The higher the SEER, the more efficient the unit. It uses less power to run. There's special names for efficiency of your gas furnaces also. The higher the AFUE rating, the more efficient the furnace. Should outdoor units be covered in the winter? No, but we see them covered. If I cover a heat pump and I'm operating it and it's an air to air, it'll just burn it up. Again, all this information is coming from the Rheem website. So if you believe you want to install this in your report forms, you can go ahead and grab it from there. This is covered. They wanted to know why it wasn't functioning properly. Plus, look at the age of the unit. In this case here, you'd be writing up a few things. I got hail damage in the coils, refrigeration line here to the left. You can take a look and see that the refrigeration lines are exposed. Anything else on here, David?
Other than the plywood sitting on top, or the OSB.
Okay, and you can see here, I see some mold, well, black staining, sorry.
Black staining.
Shouldn't be covered. Can shrubs or flowers be planted around the outdoor unit? This is off of Rheem's site. They're telling us. Rheem recommends that plants be no closer than 18 inches from the unit. You don't have to make it up anymore. It's written down for you. They're telling you. This allows for plenty of room for air circulation. we know that it has to be 12 inches from things, and they're telling you plants need to be 18 inches. You don't have to make it up. It's right there. Okay, so this one's a double whammy. I have to have 12 inches to the side, and the plants are too close, and it's not level, so it's a triple whammy.
Bad.
Bad. Okay, what's the difference between a package unit? You probably don't have many of these, and a split unit. You're going to have a package unit on all commercial buildings that are usually up on the roof. Okay, the unit to the left, David, what's this?
That looks like some hail damage.
Okay, and so what's our report writing technique on this one?
Well, we're going to have a licensed HVAC company come out and comb those, see if they can comb those out.
Okay, and then also service the system.
Yep.
Okay, now this is a heat pump on the right side, and we're in the heating cycle. Why do we know we're in the heating cycle, everybody?
Because it froze up on the exterior.
So it froze up, and the client's whining the fact that it's not heating on the interior. So how do we fix this? Shut off the unit. Shut off the unit, let it defrost. If it's cold already outside and below freezing, it's not defrosting. The reason this can occur also is low freon, lack of airflow, and so you're going to have it serviced. Okay, use an inspector. Don't have to know any of this, but it's sort of nice to know. How do we know what size unit for the house needs? Well, it's based on the size of the house, the climate you're at, type of number of windows, installation, and even the number of people living in the house. Okay, Manual J. It's a
Manual J.
Manual J, a book they'll look at and they'll determine it. Why do I need a load calculation? I don't know. But either way, once you get done, it varies between 400 and 600, 700 square feet per ton for your for cooling capability, depending on where you're at in your heating. So take a look at that list there. I'll let you read it. I'll go on to the pictures. All the next 6 pages are about the thermodynamic cycle called the refrigeration cycle, liquid vapor. I'm not going to go over that now unless somebody is sitting there going, wow, I'd really like to go over this morning. We're going to look at defect pictures and move on. So, but the refrigeration cycle has 4 stages, okay? And all you have to remember is we're removing latent heat. Heat travels from one direction to another. That's how an air conditioner and a heat pump works. Let's skip all this writing. Lots of writing. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So heat travels from warmer to cooler. That's all you got to remember. That's how an air conditioner functions. Okay. Now, starting in January of this year, all systems are changing from R22 to 410A. If you're not telling your client this, what happens is when the unit fails, it's going to cost them $100 a pound to have R22 installed if there's any available. All you have to do is inform your client that this is what's happening. So if their unit fails in 4 years, they're going to have to replace it or use some other product that's a refrigeration replacement. Here's the problem with the replacement gases. So take a look here. 410A systems operate at a higher pressure than R22. Do not use R22 surface equipments on 410A. They use higher pressures. It's 60% higher than the pressure for R22. Well, the reason we're using higher pressure so we can lower the boiling point of the refrigeration we're using. So we're using a less preferable refrigerant to remove latent heat. But we're saving the ozone. Okay. We're going to skip writing here. Okay. So on the units, they have numbers on them, and the numbers are pretty simple. 18 is 1.5 tons. 24 is 2 tons. 30 is 2.5 tons. 36 is 3 tons. 12,000 BTUs equal a ton. 12,000 BTUs equal a ton. So that way you can tell the tonnage if you want to, dazzle your clients. Ream tells you how to convert and figure out what your unit is by reading this label. So take a look at the top here. We have a couple of letters here by different colors. In this case, it's 36. And it tells me what the system is, the size, the cooling capability, and design. I like to do that because I like to know the date, the age, and I always write down the type of refrigerant that's in the unit, 410A or R22. Okay. None of you are near the ocean, so we don't have to worry about corrosive elements like salt spray. But sometimes you'll come out and your aluminum coils are black. That's caused by sulfur. If you're near a well, or chlorine from the lawn, or other factors that are in the air. So if the aluminum is changing color, we have a problem, and that's when it's usually sulfur from the water or the well, or you're using some sort of corrosive product on your lawn equipment. Okay. 410A is the new product. It's been out here for quite a while now. We'll just talk about this real quickly. This refrigerant replaces other refrigerant, and there's other types you can use, but every time these have been used, 6, 7 months, 10 months later, the compressor can't operate using these products, and everything sort of goes to hell. So you can decide what you want to do. R22 is used in other countries, so it's available, but it's not to be used in this country here. So band, maybe it'll come back. SEER rating, we talked about that. Oh, here we go. So the minimum rating in 2006 was 13. Now we're up to 14. We're moving up after that. So a SEER rating of 14.5. If you have a combination units on a roof, it doesn't matter what its SEER rating is. It's not going to be very good. Typically 16 or 17 at the most, because roof mount units don't have the same rating as a split system. Okay, we're going to start a couple of pictures here. Okay, here's our first picture with defects. Take a look at your coil. I have some rust here. If I look in, you can see the area. Can you see my cursor moving around? Someone nod their head. Yes, okay. So if you look at the coil right here, this is dirt sitting inside the coil. Dirt. This is dirt in the coil. Look down here. The coil is actually deteriorating along this edge. So this coil is nearing the end of its life just based on its condition. Usually you can reach in there and touch this, and the coil will feel flaky because the aluminum starts to oxidize. But in this case, the coil is dirty and it needs to be cleaned. Okay. Ream talks about the fact that condenser coils, when they're dirty like this, affect the efficiency a lot. Okay, this is a combo unit up on a roof. We can take a look here and see that the airflow, here's the fan at the top. The fan's bringing the air past these coils. This is an outdoor unit. This is a heat pump. You can look down here at our compressor. You can tell whether this is an air conditioner or a heat pump at this time. Picture. Nope, you can't tell. We don't see a TXV valve, which would be on one, and we don't see a reversing valve. That would be our primary. So we know it's refrigerant, just don't know what it is. Okay, so the heading here, fan problems, leaking ductwork, thermostat issues. Those are the issues we have with most of these units. Clogged drains. Okay, this is just a picture of it. I don't like these as much, but it gives you a sort of a clear idea of what you got here. But airflow is coming in from the basement. Now, if your unit's in the basement here and there's a floor drain, so we can take a look on the right-hand side and I have a floor drain. These floor drains have to be maintained so they flow somewhere. A lot of times they're not hooked to anything, or if they are, the trap has no water in it, and we're pulling sewer gases back into the basement. So
You need a trap primer.
You need a trap primer. Very good. Thank you. I need a trap primer for that. And we got to be careful. I was just watching a show on mold pulled out of a basement because they left the door open down in the basement. Mold was on the wall and it circulated mold throughout the house, and stack of boards got into the interior. This is a window AC unit. We don't inspect those, so we'll skip it. I don't know how you write this up, but when I have a window AC unit, I don't waste 2 seconds. I just write down the egress, and I don't say egress. I just say access into the bedroom in or out of this window is it's not limited. There isn't any, and the window AC unit must be removed for safety. That's what it says. And from there, they can decide what they want to do. The air conditioner isn't working. This is from the technical manual from Rheem. The unit doesn't have power. That's the number one item. Okay, it means it's not plugged in. Yeah, it's not plugged in, or the fuse is blown. The outside weather is too hot. If I have it more than 100 degrees, the unit's not going to function very well. The outside fan stopped working. Well, the run start capacitor is gone, or the starting windings are shot. The AC has a faulty motor, compressor, or wiring. The air conditioner isn't the right size. Okay, we're not required to determine if the unit's the right size, but I go into the house and the whole inspection, I'm sweating. It's not removing humidity. There's something wrong. Everybody understand? It can be too small. Now, sometimes it's too big and it's short cycles and doesn't remove humidity. But with the world getting a little hotter, it probably doesn't matter in some ways. But if you're doing the inspection and you're sweating, it's not removing humidity most likely. Okay, the programmable thermostat isn't set. The air conditioner is old. The evaporator coil is dirty. The thermal expansion valve, TXV, is stopped. Okay, many of you say, I don't understand what that is. Thermal expansion valve. It's like a needle that moves back and forth to allow refrigerant to pass. This is the most common item that fails. You come in, you do your inspection, you check your delta T or your temperature differential, and it appears to have that 14 to 22 or 12 to 20 or whatever it is you're checking. Either way, it feels cool or hot. An hour later, it's not cool anymore and it's not hot. Well, the thermal expansion valve is randomly shutting off. It's a very common item. It usually takes 30, 40 minutes, an hour. And that's why you have to run your heat pump for an hour to check it. Harold, are you asking a question or can I mute you?
I am not asking a question.
Yeah, I'm going to mute your mic. Sorry. Okay, air ducts are leaking. Again, you find that out, you go up in the attic or down in the basement, and man, air's flowing everywhere. Okay, here we go, on-site visual. If I'm in a garage, the ductwork here has to be a certain thickness. I have to have a baluster right here, or a ballard, to stop someone from running into it, or a bollard. Can I have, so here's the picture. Take a look up here in the soffit. I'm heating and cooling the garage from the ductwork that heats the house. Is this ever allowed? Can I have the same heating and cooling that heats the house, heat the garage? Never.
No.
Never. Once I do that, I'm circumventing the fire separation wall. It's not a firewall, everybody. It's the fire separation wall between the house and living space. So if I'm going to heat and cool the garage, it's going to have to be a separate unit where the ductwork doesn't transmit airflow from the garage into the house. There's also a ceiling light here. I can't have that either. Okay, now this is a filter dryer. All new units by Rheem are required to have one of these. It's always in the liquid line. And if you say, I don't know what that means, who cares? We don't have to know that. It's always facing away from the compressor. That's the secret. Okay, this arrow is facing away from the compressor. I'll say it again. It's facing away from the compressor. Now, the reason we're saying this, I'll go to brand new units are just installed, and damn it, the thing's facing towards the compressor. Now, a single-headed line arrow is for an air conditioner. A double-headed line is for a heat pump. A double-headed arrow is for a heat pump. That's how you tell. Okay, this is a TXV valve right here, thermal expansion. This is what goes bad. This unit's raised up in height above the snow. This filter has been wet. You can see the rust here, so you know there's something wrong. You know your pan is leaking. You know the coils have been freezing and water's been dripping down. You know that because you can see it. So you write it up and you move on. Either way, it's leaking. Okay, the TXV valve, in this case, we can look down and see it right here. Take a look at the filter dryer. Do you see the two-headed arrow?
Mhm.
That is a heat pump. Now, can I put a two-headed arrow on a normal? Sure I can, but they're not going to waste the time. They're more money. Okay, here's a picture of it. Doesn't matter what it is. Can't see it anyway. That's another picture of it. Can't see it. Enclosed. Okay, this one here says piston. No TXV. Well, this is an older unit. Okay, we remove the blower door compartment. We take a look in here and we can see the filter. The filter has to point in the direction of flow. The problem here is, here's your blower and the filter is right up against the blower. Here is a blower holder, a filter holder right here. I have two of them. David, what's our issue with this?
Don't need two. We only need one, and it needs to stay off the back of the motor.
Well, I thought two filters would be better.
Starving for air.
Okay. So we use that statement, everybody. It's starved for air, and most clients and air conditioning people understand that statement instead of just saying, oh, what's wrong with two? Well, if they wanted to, they just make the filters thicker, which they do. They make filters thicker, but they're pleated, so they cover more surface area. There's your dirt on your motor. Run start capacitor up at the top there. Okay, take a look at the filter. Is that a filter or is that the insulation that used to be glued to the blower compartment?
Insulation.
Yeah, it's been sucked up against the blower and it's stopping airflow. This has been occurring for quite a while. Now, would any of you it's just loose floating around in there. Would any of you just grab that and pull that out and lay it there, or you just leave it there and shut it back up? Well, you have to make a decision. You close it back up and then suddenly it gets pulled into the blower compartment and gets confettied out, or you just pull it out and say, I had to pull this out because it was in the blower motor. So you have to make a decision. But at this point here, it's loose and it's flopping around. So we try not to fix anything, but sometimes you have to make a decision. Okay. I see lots of rust. And this is one of these ones where you come in and you do the inspection. They say, oh, the service person was just here. He just serviced it. You go, huh? Okay, so let's start at the top here. This button right here is a flame rollout sensor. This manifold here, here's our manifold with these little jet things here. And gas is shot into this, so this furnace can lay on its side. But we know the condensate pan above it is leaking and water is running down everywhere. So we have a couple choices here. The drain is stopped up, the coils are freezing, there's lack of airflow, low freon, all those things. Doesn't matter. I still have a problem. In this case here, I have a concrete floor, so it's a slab on grade, and my return is under the floor. So we'll shine our light down there and see what the condition is. All these blower doors must have a switch on them. All these blower doors must have a switch. When I say must, you can have an old unit that doesn't have it. Well, then it's probably dangerous as hell, because if the cover's not on there, I can pull the fumes from up here back down through the blower. That's why in the winter everyone's feeling a little lightheaded, because they're circulating fumes back into the house. Okay, so this unit needs to be serviced and verified that it's safe. You need to write that up. You need to verify it's safe when you're done. Okay. So what I did here, we wrote down the inspector reports that the unit has signs of rust from the pan and coil above the furnace. The furnace and AC unit will need to be serviced and repaired as needed for correct operation of both the heating and cooling systems. This service must be done during the inspection period to determine that only service work is needed for this unit to work as designed. Okay, a lot of writing there, but I'm protecting myself and my client instead of saying, just get the service when you feel like it, based on its condition. The top, the seller was very nice and told the inspector that the AC unit had leaked into the furnace in the past. It just happened once. Okay, I think that's true. It just happened once. Okay, the delta or T-split is great and the best it could be. That's what the inspector wrote. The heat pump is working great and has many years of cooling and heating available. The R22 is not that big of a deal and everyone is just trying to be scary and sell another unit. That is actual a statement from an inspector. Yikes. Okay, so you can write it up any way you want, but here's the unit 2002. It's 2.5 tons. Now, the service personnel wrote this on the unit so that it's very easy to see what it is. It's 12 SEER. It's got a piston instead of a TXV. There's another one in the attic, so there's 2 of them here. So this house, and it has a backup heat strip. So it has a 5 kW heat strip. Okay, damn. So it's like electric furnace. Okay, here's your secondary safety pan. It's full of water. So again, we know we have long-term issues. This is your condensate drain. It must be 3/4 inch, depending on what it's hooked to. Here it has to be hooked before the P-trap. Here's your pleated filter we talked about. The pleated filter, and here you can see they must have a dog, a hairless dog, in fact. And most of the debris is right here. Okay, if I take a look here, I have a filter dryer in both the liquid line and the other line here, and I can see the arrow is pointing away from the compressor as required on the smaller line. Oh, okay, someone asked a question, how long should a heat pump? 1 hour. You must operate a heat pump or an air conditioner 1 hour to determine that it's functioning properly. That is the standard Rheem has for their technicians. It's a 1 hour cycle. Okay, so when you get there, either you turn it on or somebody turn it on and get it running. Okay, roof mount unit, take a look here. You can see the water running down under the roof. What's missing? The condensate drain. Okay, we take a look here. I see oil. So you look at the compressor and there's oil on the ground. Oil is bad. So in this case, refrigerant, I must have a leak somewhere. Here's your statement. There's oil stain visible on the bottom of the pan around the compressor. This unit will need to be serviced to determine the replacement of the compressor, well, whether it'll be needed or a repair should be done during your inspection period. This will allow you to determine your options if this compressor is in need of replacement. What the average cost of a compressor? $600, $700, $200. Or number 9. Thank you. Mute. There we go. Okay, a couple of filters laying around. We can take a look here on the right-hand side and see the rust is at the bottom of the pan near the filter. The unit is leaking, causing rust to form due to oxidation of the metal ductwork below. This unit will need to be serviced to determine the reason for this. The coils are dirty. The filter is dirty. There is a refrigeration issue, or there's a refrigeration issue. Now, I don't write that way, but that is a statement from a home inspector who wrote that up because they like to use 4-syllable words. Okay, whenever I have Chinese drywall is not causing this copper to oxidize. So take a look. See how the copper is oxidizing? It's hooked to a drain, and that drain is hooked to the sewer. And so they've made the bell bigger as required, but I'm supposed to have a 1-inch gap between the rim. It's called the flood rim of the device. And so sewer gas is coming up and staining this. Sewer gas. So that means the P-trap doesn't have a trap primer and the gas is coming up and oxidizing the copper. Okay. This is your reversing valve. You look down through the compressor on the outside and you can see it. This is the solenoid that kicks it back and forth. Most units today are made to be in the cooling cycle. and it changes to the heating cycle. There are one or two brands that are always in the heating cycle. When I ask for cooling, they switch, and it's sort of weird. But the reason that's done is they figured you're using it in a cold area. They want it to be heating if it fails. Well, now they've decided everyone has a heat pump because they want to cool the place. Okay, we got about 4 minutes in the air conditioning heat pump section here. These fuses are rated for 50 amps, but are not correct for this system. Okay, everybody take a look at the picture over there, and if you're having trouble seeing it, you can hit plus or minus on your screen and make the picture bigger. I think you hit control plus or minus. Someone can tell me if that's wrong. But either way, these are not time delay fuses. They're not time delay, even if I can't read it. David, you want to speak to that one?
What are we talking about, Brick? The size of the fuses?
Yeah, the type of fuses and how we tell whether they're time delay.
So there's going to be a notch at the bottom or the top of the fuse, an indentation, and that signifies that it's time delayed.
Excellent. And then it'll say on it, but in case you can't read.
Yeah, they will all have that indentation.
And then can you talk about on the bottom of the picture, it says maximum fuse or circuit breaker, HHR.
So for National Electrical Code, that this unit has been rated, and it needs a 50 amp max fuse breaker, not 55 or 60, 50.
Okay. And the reason it says fuse or breaker is before breakers, it said fuse only. So when it's tested for its UL listing, that's what it has to have. Okay. So, hey, David, this one up here, can you talk about the Freon? It's not Freon, refrigerant 410A.
Refrigerant 410A. So that's what we're currently seeing in the field. We've also got a 4-ton unit here, and it looks like it was manufactured in 2015.
Okay, and up here it says MN14. That could be the SEER rating. We have to look up under Linux.
Yeah.
That. Okay, it's single phase fan motor. Okay, lock rotor amps 117. Okay, so for all, okay, someone's also checked the breaker for HP in the main panel. It might be the correct size. Oh, okay. Yeah, so David, thank you, David. Also, you would check the breaker at the in the main panel, see if it's correct. We start here and we check and see if it's correct, because if the fuses are wrong, then we just work our way back to the main panel. Line of sight. Now, I don't have to have fuses in line of sight. It just has to be a disconnect. Okay, thank you. Here's the correct type. So look at the top. Number 1 is wrong. Number 2 is correct. So see the notch here? And it may even say time delay on it. So 1 is wrong, 2 is good. Okay, who gets extra credit for telling me what's wrong with this drain in the back? So this pipe here most likely is CPVC based on the color, yellowish color, and they've hooked a CPVC to ABS. There's no transition cement. They did use some sort of goo here, or glue, but it's hooked at this location after the trap. So we're hooked directly to the sewer pipe. Bad. David, what's the rule here about the flexible smooth line?
We write them up. They have a tendency to get clogged.
Okay, there might be something in the code that says something about smooth wall drain.
Smooth wall and designed for this purpose.
Okay, this is what we talked about earlier. This is our trap primer right here in the back. This device puts a drop of water down into the trap to keep the trap with water in it. The problem we have here is the condensate drain line is below the flood rim of the drain. This is a no-no. I don't want to have fumes from the sewer being sucked back up into my system in case there's an issue. This is part of what caused the Legionnaire's disease, where it was from birds. But either way, this is sewer gas, fumes back up into the house. Outdoor coil unit. These are different connections. One's waterproof. This one here is not. The reason these are done, these are aftermarket motors. The motors can run right or left, so they don't know which direction it's running until they hook it up, because the manufacturer makes it so the whole lid has to be on at the same time where it's bolted. So this is an aftermarket motor. These motors are only 40 bucks, everybody. It's just incredible how cheap they are. Where an original unit for the manufacturer is going to cost you $200 or $300. So that's how you know it's aftermarket. So if they're charging you $500 for this, they're really ripping you off.
Picture on the right with the nut on there. These wires can still be energized when they're not on. So get your volt stick out, test it.
Okay, so your induction device, then you're telling me that if I check that, that's hot?
It can be hot, yes.
Okay. And then if it shorts out on this frame, what would happen when I'm touching it?
Bad.
Bad. Okay. Okay, this is replacement of refrigerant that they put in here, and it was already making a loud noise, like a thumping noise, and it was just done. Well, when I say just, I mean 518, so it's about 2 years old, and it was already making a racket. Okay, so the unit has a date of 2004. I don't even understand why they spent the money on it based on the age, but there you go. 1.5 tons, so it's real teeny. So this unit would be about $3,000 just to replace it, or four. Okay, these are ductless mini splits. These are the new things. These are the ones that you can put in. They range from 230 volts to 120. These are all over Europe, all over the world, and now they're coming to the U.S. In other parts of the world, these cost $500-600, just incredibly inexpensive. Each one of these compressors can run one panel inside, or this big one here can run from 1, 2, 3, or 4 modules on the interior. But they're heat pumps, so they're pretty efficient.
Multi-headed.
Yeah, multi-headed units. So again, we take a look here and we can see that the fuses are wrong. Remember, I got to have that little slot in there, and that would be right here. Number 2, they got to have the slot in them, time delay. If they're not, they're the wrong type. It's pretty easy to look. Number 2 is correct. Number 1 is wrong. It's very easy. You don't even have to read it. It's just wrong. Pretty simple. And that's for all air conditioners and heat pumps. So they're wrong, bad. Now, here we go. This is the requirement. If we're going to have any gas units, I have to have 2 openings and louvers and grills. So take a picture of this, snap this down, read about it. We'll talk about this in the next session. This is a requirement that all gas appliances have to have adequate airflow, combustion air and dilution air, or air relief, whatever you want to call it. It's in the code. Okay, I have to have an upper register and a lower register. 12 inches from the ceiling, 12 inches from the floor, blah, 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 all that other stuff. So take a look at this grill here in the door. If you notice here, it has a little hole punched in the middle. So we already know there's not enough airflow. Also in this grill, they sell these grills, they have screen. And David, can you talk about the screen size on these?
So the screen size, we need 1/4 inch screen. Anything smaller, we get the sail effect, and we're going to be starving for air.
Okay, again.
And so the screen size also goes into the calculation for the 100 square inches of free air that you need.
Okay, and each unit, depending on what we have for BTUs, determines what we need, and it's 1 inch per 100,000 or 1,000 or something. It doesn't matter. Everyone just stop. We just need air. Okay, here's your mini ductless split. Look how dirty the filter is. Look how dirty that is. Okay, we take a look. We go there. We pull open the door. We look inside, and I see this black sticky substance. I'm looking at the blower unit. Look at the bottom here at the floor. Does anyone go any farther, or am I done? Or am I going to say, hey, just service this. It looks okay to me.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm done. I'm walking away.
Done.
It's unsafe to use this unit. Now, I don't think that's mold. I think it's just black gooey substance. It's living on its own. But either way, I think it's mold, everybody. I just can't say it. Dirt sticking to the registers up here, that's an issue. Take a look here. Here's the fall line. So I'm standing, this is called a scupper. You don't have these, but I like it. So water comes out of here and drops straight down into the air conditioner. What's the rule? The unit can't be in the fall line off the roof. Who says that? The manufacturer. So when you show the installer this, they go nuts. But either way, so in this case, the water comes right off and hits it. And then the spacing between two units is what? Double what one is required. Minimum of 2 feet. Okay. Double-headed heat pump, right? I've turned you into drones now. You guys are just going, heat pump, heat pump. Okay, take a look at the thermostat. The one to the right, old. Standby, normal, on. This is back in the day when you could actually control your heating. The new thermostats, they turn on the coil automatically when it gets cold, and then it goes into electric heat cycle. In the good old days on a heat pump, you would turn on the coils manually and heat. So you don't even know that the heat pump isn't functioning. So if it's cold outside below 32 and the house is heating, walk back outside. And if the compressor's not on, it's not in the heat pump cycle, everybody. It's in heat coil cycle. Okay. These are float switches. The one on the left is upside down. See the writing upside down? What does the manufacturer say? The label should be, you should be able to read the label to know it's in correctly. So the sensor is in upside down. Over here on the left, it says the sensor shall be embedded in water. Now, in this case, if we're facing upward like it's supposed to, the sensor at the end would turn on sooner. The way these things function, they turn off the compressor outside, but the blower continues to run so they can try to evaporate any moisture. We looked at this one earlier, hail damage. This one's water leaking all over the outside through the pan, got a problem. Here they've given you a little brush to clean this. This is your float switch on the outside. Every once in a while when I'm feeling spunky, I will pull this float switch out, which don't do this at home. And I pull it out and I just push the float switch up and someone runs outside and sure enough, the compressor does shut off. I put it back together and the compressor turns on and runs. I just do it on a vacant house only just to show my client. They're very impressed. Here, the unit's right up against the wall of the house. Oh, no one likes me when I write this up. But you notice here how it's right up against the building. Bad. This is a 14 SEER unit, American Standard. There's no room here, so they're going to have to move it. Okay, this one shows you what happens when I get a hot spot on the side and water hitting this unit. So the sprinkler is spraying up against the unit, and this is calcium buildup all around the side. And I'm getting a hot spot right here where the Freon refrigerant isn't cycling through the outside coil properly. Sure enough, wrote it up. They said the coil was defective now and had to be replaced. It doesn't look that dirty, but it really is. Take a look at your coil here. Your A-frame is filthy, filthy. That's going to need to be cleaned. What do you clean this with? A surfactant. Surfactant, surface activating agent. What is that, David?
Dawn dish soap.
That's it.
Worry.
I know.
It's the best.
They sell it at the dollar store. Dollar. Okay, David, I don't know if you can see what this one is right here.
Oh, it's like a flexible rubber hose.
Yeah, that's your condensate. It's hooked to your single piece, and it's restricted right here.
Yeah, it's pinched.
Okay.
Needs to be 3/4 of an inch.
Right. What's wrong with that one?
Wrong size.
Wrong size. Okay, here's your requirement right here. Write it up. IRC, condensate disposal. Tells you what it is. It'll not discharge. Says the plumbing system shall not be utilized for purpose other than the venting of plumbing. Hey guys, this rule has been this way for about 20 years. So when someone's yapping about it somewhere else, this has been the rule forever. So I put it here for you. IRC, M is for mechanical, P is in the plumbing code, but it's also in the IRC also. And again, we're not code compliance inspectors. It's in the book. If you find the book for installation of these items, it'll tell you. It says follow the local building code. That's what it says. So that's sort of crazy how it works. At this point, we've sort of exceeded the time for this one. Ken, did you guys want to do your stuff and then we'll make sure this one's almost done anyway. But we still have the venting on gas and the electrical defects. Ken or Forrest, did you want to talk?
Yeah, if this is a good time, Rick, maybe Forrest wants to take like maybe 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, let's do that. And then after he's done, we'll take a quick 5-minute bio break for some of you, and then we'll hit it and go from there. You want to go ahead, Forrest?
Yeah, thank you. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Forrest Lines. I'm a member of the ASHE Ohio Chapter Education Director. And I just wanted to welcome everyone. Thank you for coming on today, and let you know that this is the beginning of an ongoing series of virtual offerings that we will have this year and going into next year. Because of the pandemic and the way things are going, having your standard getting together and 100 people in a room doesn't look like that's going to be something that is going to be done right away. We'll see how things go into next year. But what I wanted to mention to you is the next thing we have coming up, for those of you that would be interested and or don't have or would like to have a peer review under your belt, we're going to do an on-site peer review next Saturday here in Central Ohio. That's October 31st. It's going to be here in Central Ohio, here in Columbus. After you register, we will send you the address. There are only 10 spots available for this due to we're going to try to adhere to social distancing and so forth. And we're going to start at 9 a.m. They'll run in 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5. That'll be the times, and it will be an on-site, in a house, a vacant home. As I say, we only have 10 spots, and actually, I think we have one of them already sold. So, with that, you can go to our website and register for that. If you have any questions, you can call me or email me, ohioashe.org, and we have a place you can register for it. As everyone knows, it's part of the licensing procedure, having a peer review. Again, thank you for that. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and send a chat on your chat. Send them over to me, and I'll answer what questions you might have. And Ken, you had something you wanted to speak to everyone about?
Yeah, just briefly, just to let everyone know, because I see a lot of members of the Ohio chapter on our call here. Just to let you know that if things get back to normal ever in 2021, the chapter filed with the State of Ohio Department of Commerce, the Division of Real Estate and Professional Licensing Division, and had 2 PowerPoints approved by the state for Realtor CEs. So that's available for any chapter member. If you'd like to go into a real estate office and make a presentation, they're available for you at no charge. And if you're not real comfortable speaking in front of a crowd, you can let us know, and one of us will come out and pass your business cards out with you or your brochures and do the presentation with you. Okay, so it's available for any of our Ohio ASHE members, and it is free.
I think that's it, Brick.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Okay, everybody. Do you want to take a 5-minute break or just keep shooting along here? I guess we'll move.
Let's keep shooting along.
Keep moving along. Okay. We're in the next section here. This is under venting for gas furnaces or any furnace. Okay. So I put this up here for you. Makeup air required. So exhaust hood systems capable of exhausting in excess of 400 GFM, provided with makeup air at a rate. What's this mean? I have a vent fan in the kitchen. This is pretty common now. We put a vent fan in there. It's so powerful, it sucks the kids out of another room into the kitchen. the fan's so powerful I can throw a cookbook up against the ceiling and it'll hold it in place. Well, that air has to come from somewhere. So I gave you this reference here, and you can pretty well check this. If doors open, we're taking air out of the room, so you got to fix it. Okay, let's see. Someone just sent me something here. Let's see what it says here. Oh, okay, yeah. So again, I want to repeat this one more time. You need to operate your heat pumps or air conditioners for a minimum of 1 hour to do a proper test. Does everybody understand? That's what the technician sheet says from Rheem. Now, one of the issues is if it's the middle of summer, you're not going to operate your heat pump when it's super hot out because your compressor is still going to work. The only issue is you're not checking the reversing valve, okay? And in the winter, when I go to the heating cycle, the compressor is operating anyway because I'm in the heating cycle. So your companies that say, oh, you didn't operate it, well, actually you did. Your compressor is operating no matter what, so you did check it. Okay, so this is a statement about makeup air for vent hoods. Okay, here's the next one. All mechanical items, combustion air and dilution air is provided by a mechanical forced air system. So if you have a forced air gas furnace and I have combustion air somewhere, this is not air in the house, this is air coming from outside inside. These numbers don't mean anything to us, we don't care, but I have to have combustion air somehow to make this unit work, and it can't come from inside the house. Okay, that's what this is saying. So again, we're recording this. You'll get a copy of this, and then you guys can decide what you're going to do from there. But there's a camera on the screen. Just take a picture of the screen. Okay, let's take a look here. Here I have a louvered door. I got a louvered door. So that seems to be my return air into this device, which is most likely an electric furnace or a heat pump. I got wooden floors, so I have a float switch here. There's no pan. So I have a safety cutoff in the secondary drain. This is what you need. Here I have primer. I have primer on our fittings. Here we go. Let's take a look and watch. Good morning, everybody. We're going to do a little test here. We've got this louvered door at our location. We're going to put it about this close. We're going to see here it closes on its own. Why is that happening? I have an air register here and I have one here. I want you to listen to the sound when I open this up. The blower gets a little bit faster. It's starved for air. There we go. I need more return. Okay, everybody. This unit has to be designed so there's proper airflow through the system. Again, there's not enough return. Air return. So this is an electric heat pump. Even with the louvers there. Hey, David, what's the ratio of air to air register size?
I do not know.
Okay, well, it has something to do about 2/3 of the air registers for free air, and the rest is taken up with the louvers and the screening. So you talked about it earlier. It was the sale effect.
Sale effect.
Yeah, we don't have to know with the percentages, everybody. This just shows us right here. I don't have enough return.
Yeah.
Not enough return. Okay, forced air warm furnaces shall be tested in accordance with the ANSI or UL and shall be installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Boom. That's what it says. Shall be installed per the manufacturer's instructions. This is not a code. The manufacturer tells us. So all I have to do is write down the model number, the unit. I pull a PDF file if I want to spend that kind of time. I don't do any of that. I just write it up and say, this needs to be installed per the manufacturer's instructions, and I move on. Prohibited. Outdoor and return air should not be taken from the following locations. What does this mean? I'm in the house and I like to live, so I'm not going to pull return air out of a garage. So I can't pull return air closer than 10 feet from the appliance, near a plumbing or an exhaust fan, unless the outlet is 3 feet above the outside air. Oh, that's a lot of writing. Either way, don't put it near these sources. Okay, if I have a place there's outdoor odors, fumes, or flammable vapors, it has to be 10 feet away from that. Okay. A hazardous or insanitary location. What does all that mean? I can't have my return air near a sewer vent, a garbage chute, another water heater. That's what it's telling me. Okay, I wish I would just say that and move on. In a room or space, the volume is less than 25% of the entire volume served by such system. Oh my God. Can they just tell me? If I'm in a little teeny room and the door is shut, I can't have the return air in the room that shuts. That's what it's telling me. Okay, adjoining room spaces. Okay, here we go. At the very bottom, I made it dark. A room or space containing an appliance where such a room or space serves as the sole source of the return air. So a lot of times your return air, the place where the filter is in the utility room. I shut the door and there's no way to pull return air from any other space in the house. That's what it's saying. Bad. Okay, here are the prohibited areas. I wrote it down for you. I just went and wrote them up so it's simpler to find out what it is. I can't pull return air. Now this is the air where the filter is in the house, from a closet, a bathroom, a toilet room. What's that mean? A room with a toilet. Never from the kitchen, never from the garage, never from the boiler room, furnace room, or an unconditioned attic. Okay, I can't get the return air from those locations. I didn't add basement. Some places you have it, but that's a whole nother issue. We have a whole section on that. Okay, return air. This is the air you're breathing. Okay, the screen. We talked about that earlier. The screen can't be under a 1/4 inch. If it is, it's wrong. And not larger than 1 inch. Well, at 1 inch, I guess the only reason that screen's there is for bugs. So in your area, I guess bugs that are over 1 inch are fine, or under 1 inch. Oxygen depletion safety system. I talked about this in another class and everyone got on my case. I said, the way you check this, you go into a room, you shut all the doors and windows, you turn the unit on, and you see what turns off first. You either collapse because there's no air, or the unit goes off because the air depletion system is shut off. But everyone thought, well, that's stupid. That's okay. We'll hook a line to you and drag you out of the room. But these systems do function. I've tested these in some of them by turning the system on. I shut the door, I go back in, the unit's off because it consumed the air in the room. And the air depletion system said, hey, there's very little air, and it shuts it off. Okay, clearances. The minimum clearance of 24 inches shall be maintained between the cooking top and combustible material above the hood. Okay, I put this in here because it's actually in the code. This is about cooktops, range hoods, and microwaves. Right here. It's a minimum clearance above the hood, and it shall be as wide as the open top broiler unit to be centered over the unit. So it's telling us the minimum clearance is 24 inches. So some of these microwaves are so low to the stove, I can't slip a pan in there. Well, now you got a reference for it right here. Let's go to the next one. Shut-off valves require serving gas-fired log lighters shall be located outside of the fireplace firebox, adjacent within 6 feet and in the same room as the fireplace. What's that mean? The gas valve has to be in the room you're in, not in the next room over. Running around the corner and turning it on, running into the basement, that's bad. Okay. It says here 6 feet. Well, the way it used to say it used to say if you're lighting it, you have to be able to get your hand on the valve. So 6 feet tells me I'm going to stand over here at the valve and toss my match towards the flame, I guess, and hope it's not that big. So unless you're using a 3-inch, 3 foot long thing, but there it is, right there. Okay. Here we go. Next one. Appliances shall be connecting to the piping system by one of the following. Okay, now this is the most common report writing item where everyone's complaining about what you inspectors are writing up. So here we go. We put this in here so you have it. This is in the code. Let's go ahead and start. Rigid metallic pipe and fittings. What's that mean? Black iron pipe, threaded together. Corrugated stainless steel tubing were installed in accordance with the manufacturer's instructions. Okay, this comes in different types. Yellow outside coating, black outside matrix, however you want. If you have CSST and you don't know how it's to be installed, just say, we're not sure if this is installed according to the manufacturer's most recent requirements, and move on. Semi-rigid metallic tubing and metallic fittings. Length shall not exceed 6 feet. Semi-rigid metallic tubing and metallic fittings. Length shall not exceed 6 feet. It shall be located entirely in the same room as the appliance. Semi-rigid metallic tubing shall not enter the motor-operated appliance through an unprotected knockout opening. Okay, everybody, what does semi-rigid metallic tubing mean? A connector. That's what it means. A connector. You buy them. They're yellow, they're gray, they're stainless steel, and they come with nuts on the end with fittings. That's what they're telling you. They can't be over 6 feet. They'll be located in the same room as the appliance, so it can't go through a wall. They should not enter a motor-operated appliance through an unprotected knockout opening. Here they're telling you that they'll let you go through the knockout, but most manufacturers will never allow you to put in a metal flexible connector through the outside case. They want, number one, rigid metallic pipe inside the furnace case. How do we know that? Let's look at number 4. List of the label appliance connectors in compliance with the ANSI in accordance with the manufacturer's requirements. Okay. Located entirely in the same room as the appliance. Listed and labeled quick disconnect devices used in conjunction with the listed and labeled appliance connectors. So if you want to be tricky, you can always say listed and labeled. And that's the requirement. Oops, somebody asked me a question. What is GFM? I don't know. What did I say? GFM. Anybody know what that is? Someone Google it. I said it, and I know it was on one of these pages. Somebody Google it and then just blurt it out when you come up with it. I'm having a mind. Okay, so take a look here. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Oh, here we go. Number 5. A union shall be installed between the appliance and the shutoff valve. Okay, I don't have to have a union if I have a metal flexible connector. The union rule has to do with rigid gas, and a union can never be inside the furnace. A union can never be inside the furnace. I'm sorry, I'll say it 3 times. A union can never be inside the furnace. Okay, and when someone comes up with GFM, let me know, will you? The vertical clearance above a cooking top. This has nothing to do with furnaces, but I like this one because I wanted to know. Okay, shall have a clearance of the cooking top not less than 30 inches to combustible material and metal cabinets. A minimum clearance of 24 inches permitted where one of the following is installed. Okay, so you just take a look there. And that's number 3. A listed cooking appliance or microwave is installed over a listed cooking appliance and in compliance with the terms of the manufacturer's installation requirements. So it's sort of weird how they say it. Sometimes they'll say the top of the microwave has to be 30 inches off of, or 60 inches from the floor down, something stupid like that. As long as it ends up being 24 inches by the manufacturer's requirements, right up here it says it. Oh, very good. Hey, David, you're the best. Thank you. The rest of you can go back to sleep. GFM is gas mass flow meters. Gas mass flow meters. We should do a class on that because I have no clue. I have no clue what that is at the moment. And I'll be truthful about it. I have no clue. I don't know. Sorry. So we'll look that one up. Okay, here we go. We're going to be talking about flexible metal vents, Duravents, Amerivents. These are the vents we're seeing everywhere. Everyone's using them. You see the arrow at the top right-hand side? That means that's the way it's to be installed, facing that direction. And you know which way that's usually facing? Up. Up, not down. And when I say up, well, it can be up with a 1/4 inch. So look here. Minimum clearance to combustibles, 1 inch. So this metal flexible Duravent is rated as a type B. B as in Bravo. Type B vent needs how much space? 1 inch. And it's telling you 1 inch to be installed in a masonry chimney where there is a minimum clearance of 0 inches. This product can be used to revent a water heater, a furnace, into a masonry chimney that's unlined. But it must be clear and consistent from the mechanical unit all the way up through the roof with the proper vent termination. This product is approved for that. It says right here, to be installed in a masonry chimney. I like it. 0 space between the interior masonry and the gas liner. Whoop, okay. Install and use only in accordance with Duravent installation. So this product can be used for that. I like it again. Here it is, AmeriVent, gas vent connector. There's my arrow. Here's my connectors up here. It's connected. Here's the metal flex. You see it all the time down here. This product has to be connected with a manufactured connector. Slicing it off with a Sawzall is not the proper connection, wrapping it with tape. So when I see duct tape wrapped around this unit, it's wrong. I'll say it one more time, wrong. Let's come back up here. This unit, this product, I have to have a connector between these two, connector. For listed gas appliances with draft hoods and other appliances specified with type B vent. Install only in accordance with the, it's in writing, it's right there, everybody. Okay, now this is over a vent hood in a kitchen. In this case, I see a non-vented vent here, and I also see a vent going out. So which one is it? Is it vented or not vented? Well, you have to come up here and put a piece of tissue paper. If air is blowing out, this is not hooked up. How many of you would report on this that it's not vented? Well, it's not vented, or it is vented. So you're going to write this up, and so your client knows that it's vented to the exterior. I like to cook a lot of curry, or I like to cook a lot of bacon or ham or something. So maybe they want a house with a vent to the outside. So I'd write this up. Okay, is this connector good or bad? Bad. Why? Because there's no connector at the end. Bad. Okay, beyond all that, do you guys allow these flex connectors to the top of the water heaters? Someone nod their head yes or no. Do you allow them? You're nodding. No one's nodding your head. I don't see them moving. No one knows. Okay, so let's pretend they're approved for right now. But there's your flex connectors. This is a dielectric union. It's a brass nut. So that's your dielectric between copper and iron. I have to have a dissimilar material. Brass is approved. Brass is approved. Okay, now right here where the nipple's coming into the top, they've used a regular galvanized nipple. Most manufacturers now give you a nipple that's made for that. Again, that's a dielectric. But in this case, they put Teflon tape on here, and they've come up with my lines, and they're soldered. Here's my temperature and pressure relief valve. David, can you speak to this valve, please, if you have a chance?
Yep. So we've got it's required to be in the top 6 inches of the hot water heater, and we could read on top of the plate that's by the valve and read how long the probe is that's going down inside there, and it has to drain out, and it's got to be yeah, there's the plate right there, and it has to have less than 4 elbows, and it has to terminate to the exterior grade or above approved drain.
Okay, and when you say the top 6 inches, you mean it can be on the top like this or on the side?
Yes.
6 inches down.
Yes, both of those.
Okay, and many of you don't realize, but now you can check it. I didn't realize they make water heaters both ways because they read the code. So in Arizona, they're in the top of the water heater, but in other parts of the country, they're in the side of the water heater. So it's depending on your locality, it's depending on how your code compliance inspectors read the code, whether the pressure relief valve is installed. But all valves have a probe, as David said, on the top here, and the probe length is dictated of how far it extends past the top of the water heater into the tank. So we'll look at some of those. Okay, this gas connector, is this okay, David?
I like it.
Okay, and he likes it because it has a connector here at the top.
Connectors.
Connector.
And we've got a nice rise. It's going into the thimble. It's going in to bigger. Good.
So David, smaller, bigger.
Small, bigger, biggest.
Okay, so as we continue on, the primary BTU appliance is always primary. Everybody understand that? So they have all this writing everywhere, yapping about what it is. It's pretty simple. The bigger unit is the primary. It goes up. The little babies tie into the side. Then as I go up, I'm making this flue pipe bigger as I'm going up, and then off it goes. David, what's wrong with this ceiling connection right here?
I need a 1-inch clearance.
Why?
For my because we need a 1-inch clearance to combustibles. The drywall paper is considered combustible.
Okay, and the manufacturer tells us that So if we come back here to type B vent requires a minimum clearance to combustibles of 1 inch. It says it right there. I'm reading it. Okay, AmeriVent. It says 1 inch minimum airspace to combustible. It's in writing right there. See it? Now, many of you say, I don't like to read. Well, that's okay. But when you're being sued someday, it's stamped right in the outside of the metal. So in this case, AmeriVent's is paper. On others, it's stamped right in the metal. Okay, so take a look here. That's out of focus. Okay, so draft hood right here, pipe comes over, and those are the proper connectors. Okay, back here I have a water valve shut off and maybe a bonding wire or grounding wire hooked up. It's out of focus. We'll skip that. Okay, here we go. So here it says listed vent cap connector 1 inch. It's telling me, and there's my arrow. Everybody see it? It's pretty easy. Now this is Simpson Duravent. They bought the company. It says 4 inch. So this is 4 inch. Here it is again. It's listed. It's written right on here, everybody. So when I come up and I say this isn't installed properly, I said, where's the connector? Where's the label? What do you mean? Well, the one you cut off and you threw in your truck. Okay, what's wrong with this one, David?
I don't think we're connected properly there at the draft hood.
Right.
Yep.
So right here, they put a non-compliant connector
Yep.
between these two. This connector is required to have a connector here on the top of the draft hood
Yes.
in connection. This is Simpson. It's a listed unit. I have to have listed. Here it says the connector length is 36 inches. Bad. So I wrote it up. Here's a close-up of it. So if you take a picture of this, you put it in a report, you don't have to write it too much. You just say, hey, here it is. It's telling you what to do. So if we take a look here, it says, do not enclose. So this product can't be enclosed. So that means it can't be in an attic where I can't get to it, even if it is type B vent, or pass through walls, ceilings, or floors, or other combustible material. So this product has to be in free air. What's that mean? Not enclosed. Okay? Free air. Out of focus. Man, when you put these on the screen, I can see what they show here. Okay, I put this in here for some of you that like newer units. What's wrong with this unit? I'll let somebody from Ohio blast out. I need to know where the combustion air is. Where am I getting my combustion air? What's the rule? Can I pull combustion air from the same location as my unit? No, I can't. So those of you that listened to the first hour are experts now. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Your instructor must be the best. I can't pull combustion air from the same location as the unit. So look up here. Combustion air, bad. Here's my exhaust vent. It has the 1/4 inch per slope. I'm going to read up here and I'm going to see if it says this is approved for venting. It's schedule 40, but somewhere on here printed on this thing, it's going to say, I don't know, maybe somebody can zoom in. It'll have to say it's vented. Now, one of the problems is, do we see any glue on the fittings? Or do we glue them together, just slam them together and hope they don't fall apart? Okay, so usually when we put PVC together, we use a primer. Primer's usually purple, could be clear, doesn't matter to me. Okay, what's this red device for? I ask this to everybody every time I show it. This red device here comes across with a piece of conduit to some sort of connector here. I'm not sure what it is. Looks like it's electrical. And then I have these Triton fan recovery units, it looks like here. Here I have a humidistat control box up here. Oh, maybe it's a humidifier. I don't know. Anybody know what it is? I don't see anyone typing on here now. Okay, so let's take a look here. I have air here through a filter, and I have air here through a filter. So it looks like we've panned the ceiling in the basement. That's okay. And then here I have a flex boot. Usually on a flex boot, I have to have emergency shut off. Thank you, Blaine. So this is an emergency shut off. What that is, it's probably got a flame sensor in there or heat, and it shuts off the system so you get to live. So let's take a look here. Speaking of flame shut off, where the gas comes into the unit. What do I need on every gas appliance as close as possible to the unit, but outside the box, right here? No, it's just
sediment trap.
Okay, it's a switch. I need a sediment trap right here. Who says that? The manufacturer. Now, a sediment trap and a drip loop are two different things. but they look the same. Let's do it that way. Okay. If you have wet gas, which you might have in your area, or high pressure gas, they call it something different. But for our purposes, let's just call it sediment trap for the moment. I have a gas shutoff, and here I have a rigid fitting inside the unit. So I'm not looking in here, so I'd have to take a peek. So Blaine's telling me it's just a switch. Okay. Shut it off.
Isn't the sediment trap in behind that?
Way back here? Right here?
Yeah, that's the sediment trap because it's a down, no, at the very, against the,
Oh, way back here?
whatever. Yeah, that's the sediment trap right there. It's an 8-inch.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. Where's it supposed to be, though?
Yep. Within 36 inches of the unit.
Okay.
And it is.
36. Okay. We'll have to look that one up for your area. Can you tell me the reference for that?
Pamphlet 58, National Gas Code.
Oh, gas code. Okay. So the manufacturer might state something and the gas code states another thing, but as long as we have it there, I see it. Thank you. Excellent.
Because the gas is coming from top.
Yes, right here. So if I take it here, this gas line here may be 1 inch, and this may be half, and this might be half. So how many appliances can I run off a 1/2-inch gas line? One, depending on the BTUs, of course. So we'll be taking a look at that as we're going. Here's the screen, nothing under a 1/4 inch, bad. See how the debris is piling up on it? So these registers, they stamped in the register on the outside edge. You go to the store and you look, it'll say 72 square inches, 100 square inches. It'll state the amount of free air that it's rated for. Filter's dirty. Does everybody here pull the filter? Yes, nod your heads. Everyone pulls the filter. Okay, so take a look here. Here I've got my gas line. Here's my flex coming down. And unless I have a drip loop somewhere in that area, let's pretend the sediment trap's not there. Oyster gas furnace. Okay, up here, if you take a look, there's a fuse right here. David, you want to talk about this? You did the research on this one.
Yeah, so that's your standard fuse stat. We've got that so that we can independently operate in the blower. So it's all blower motors have to be controlled by a fuse. So that's a quick and easy way to reference in your report that your blower was working. And if you pull that cover up, what color should that fuse be?
Rated for what the motor is.
Rated for the motor, absolutely.
Okay, and this was called an S what?
It could be called an SRU. Don't get caught up on those terminologies. All that is a catalog number. Those fuse switches and receptacles come in different sizes. Ovals, rounds, they come with a switch. So just don't get caught up in the catalog number.
Right. One of the issues is over the years, I've done a lot of inspections and it'll be on the main electrical panel, so the SRU box installed. And when we looked it up, there's nothing in the code. It's just the manufacturer's rating for that box, and everyone installs it. They just don't know why. But the manufacturer states that the blower motor must be protected, or there must be a disconnect. So can a cord that you unplug count as a disconnect?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I have to have some way to disconnect that. Okay, there's our combustion air. Is this combustion air or air relief? Dilution air. It's at the ceiling. Combustion would be low, and this would be our high vent.
Relief is high.
Okay, here we go in 1/4 inch. Okay, we're looking down into the air plenum. This is your air plenum, and here's your loose, friable, bad insulation that's in the wall. This wall should have been drywalled down all the way inside the cold air return or the air plenum. So don't worry, the dirt there is covering the insulation. So that not that much fiberglass comes into the house. It's bad. So we write that up and it can either be removed or drywalled. With everybody whining about how bad things are, we got to make sure we're covered here. Again, here's our return. I'm looking through into the next room where our air registers are. And here's our motor is covered in dirt, more dirt. We're going to call for servicing of the system. Okay, here's our rigid pipe. Here's our connector. We're okay with this. Here's my flex line outside. I don't see a drip loop. Maybe it's somewhere else. A sediment. No, I'm calling it a drip loop. Jesus. A sediment trap in the back. So the gas line for these furnaces is a minimum of 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. And the way it should be is no more than one appliance shall operate off a 1/2 inch pipe. So as I come back along here to the water heater, I should have a 3/4 or bigger pipe before I branch out for 1/2 inch to the water heater and 1/2 inch to the furnace. Now, if your furnace is bigger, 400,000 BTU or something like that, then we're going to need a bigger furnace for the BTUs, but that's a manufacturer issue. This label is on the outside edge of your AC unit, and it tells you what to do. So here's your warm tepid water and your surfactant. You're going to pour this down through here, and I don't even know if it uses the word surfactant on here. Either way, but your surfactant, surface activating agent. So when you get home, you can go ahead and look. You've all used surfactant this morning. Well, maybe some of you didn't, but sometime during the month you might use some. It's soap, you know. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Blaine, thank you. A register is adjustable, a grill is not. That is very true. Thank you. I stand corrected. So yes, what he's talking about, a register is adjustable. So we have to adjust airflow, and a grill is not adjustable. So on almost 100% of the return air grills are not adjustable for return air. Okay, let's look at our furnace here. Manufacture date 2010. It's telling us my model number, so I can go to the internet now and look that up. If I speak French, there I go. And that's really all I need to know at that point. And then I can look at some other stuff below here. I thought I'd show you this. This is Arizona for some of you that want to know what we have here. This is the pack rats. They've gotten into a heater. This is not a heater for your house. It's a heater for your swimming pool. But I watched a great show on the hantavirus, which is from pack rats. And the hantavirus is from South Korea. It was brought over in World War II. And the rats up in the Indian reservation have the same virus caused by pinon trees and rats. Sorry, just some trivia. It was on the news the other day. But there you go. And there are the droppings. So we'd write this down as unsafe condition. Okay, so we take a look here, and here's our furnace. Here's our gas rigid pipe coming out. And then I've got this, you can see the pipe is, it's a T. It gets bigger right here. It's a mess, whatever it is. But there's a yellow tag. That's what I'm trying to show you. This is from the gas company. The gas company is telling us something's wrong. They wrote it up, and yet everyone's lighting it, and off they go. This furnace here has a pressure switch built into it right here to the fan. This pressure switch shuts the unit off if there's a backflow issue. Here's my vent up through the roof. This is about an 80% efficient furnace, so not very efficient, maybe 90. My flames are covered, so I can't get to them, so it's bringing air from some other location, combustion air. Let's go to the next one. This filter we already saw, bad. Okay, so we take a look in here and we're doing our inspection. We're looking at our flame. This is a rigid pipe coming across. Okay, here we go. David, just to clarify, you said the furnace cannot get combustion air from the same as the furnace. I see vents and ventment walls that open air to the basement, pulls air there. I see this on all the time. I like the picture you showed. Oh, okay, yeah. If there's no other source of air into the room, I can't do that. So what David's asking, I said, you can't pull combustion air from the same room the unit's in. Well, that's actually not totally true. I have to have some way for that air to come in from the outside source. So, but I can't have a room that's totally enclosed and have the combustion air from an enclosed room. So these units have to have air from an outside source. I can't use the same air I'm breathing as my combustion air. That is true. Thank you, David. I'll be much better.
Are you using your?
You and Blaine, huh?
Are you using your gas detector on this?
On this one?
And just in general on your inspection on this?
No, I don't. I used to use a gas detector. I had a monoxidil. I used a tip.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have all those things. I don't do any of those anymore. I just say the furnace needs to be checked for safety by a qualified technician, and I move on from there. Because what would happen is I'd write it up, and everyone else would say it's fine, and yet I'd look in there and there'd be a crack in the heat exchanger big enough to shove a dollar bill through it. So I just write them up. So as I stare at this unit here, I see my flame cutoff switches. Here's my, I don't know if that's heat related, but either way, it looks like a shadow. So I really don't see anything really bad unless someone sees something in that picture. This is the outside cover. We talked about the insulation cover. It's been pulled into the blower unit. Here's the blower. The blower was chewing this up as it was spinning. This was one of these cases where I said, well, I'm going to pull this out of here because it's making all this racket. It was just spinning around, and I pulled it out. I'm not supposed to replace the thing. Couldn't help myself. I put this in here so those of you that like hydronic heat can talk about how you saw this today. So would there be 3 thermostats for this? 3 thermostats for the loop system. And this could be
Yes.
convectors on the wall, I suppose, or under the floor for radiant heat. My boiler's right down here. I really wasn't taking this picture to look at it. And Blaine, this could be your house for all I know on this one. Can someone tell me what this is? This big black thing here with this little thing that's like a little whistle. Huh?
Probably for lubricant.
Yeah, it's got a little whistle on the top here. Looks like this blows up.
It's an auto vent.
What's that mean?
Lets air out of the air scoop.
Thank you. Yeah, so this vent here bleeds off air. Now, do we have air and water? Is this a boiler?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a boiler. So we're trying to get rid of the air that might be in there as we're separating it out. So again, unless you're an expert in this, move on, write it up, tell them to get someone else out there that knows something. I run into systems every once in a while. I don't know anything about them. There's no sense trying to feed some BS to the buyer. They know everything. Air bleeder. Thank you very much, Travis. Perfect. Okay, field control. It says reset, but I don't know if the button's there. Am I supposed to stick a nail in that thing or something? I'm thinking like a framer right now, everyone. So I stick a nail in this hole over here. Shouldn't there be a button sticking out of this thing? This do not reset switch, but I don't see a reset there. So I would have wrote that up and moved on. Take a look at this wiring coming in. This is your MC cable here with your connector. This is to be used in dry locations only. I took this picture here so you could feel at home. The draft says right here, draft regulator, field controls, 6-inch. This little baby here is like on a, what do you call it, a barometric. We need air dilution. Okay, take a look up through here at the flue pipe. It's come loose. It's disconnected. You can see here the soot build up on the ceiling. The seller said they're sick a lot. They're not sure why. They're not feeling good. They feel lightheaded. Their faces are rosy red. Mom's house. Yes, thank you. Blaine. Okay. Here's your question. Can I take combustion air from the room I'm standing in into this room? Here's the door right here. That's combustion air. So this was the question about the 10-foot rule. I'm heating air from this furnace, but I'm trying to get combustion air back into this room, so they cut a hole in this door. Is that allowed for safety? Yes or no? Yeah, 1950, 1960. We need outside air. I should never take the air I'm breathing for combustion air for this unit, but yet this was very common all the way up until the 70s when they determined that's why you're sick all winter and you feel so much better when the furnace is turned off. Okay, so whenever I see a return grill, this is not return air. This is combustion air and dilution air in the door. Okay, air return would be separated down at the bottom. Pan, you see water, again, cleaning. We saw that. Okay, what type of flue pipe is this? I'm looking up into it. It starts with the letter A.
Asbestos?
Yeah, asbestos, or we could call it transite. Transite was a great product. It lasts forever. Hey, David, can you talk about the research we did on type B venting and transite?
So in 1948, transite pipe by the UL Laboratories gave it a designation that it was equivalent to B-type venting, and that you had to use the appropriate fittings and lengths based on the BTU of the appliance would determine the size to terminate outside for proper drafting. Your most common manufacturer was Johns Mansfield, so pretty cool little write-up. He actually made not only transite piping, but also corrugated roof systems, all kinds of stuff with this product.
And did we find it in the recent code?
Yeah, so the most recent one I found was in the plumbing code, which was a table in 2015. It's based on size and BTU.
Right.
It had its own table. Yep.
Uniform Plumbing Code 2015. There's a table there rating the different types of pipe and the BTU ratings of the pipe and the use. And transite is listed.
It's listed as asbestos pipe.
Okay, but it's rated as type B. B is in Bravo.
Yes. Yes.
So that's the only reason it still is allowed to go through an enclosed space in your attic. We still write it up because it's asbestos because everyone's freaking out, but that's how it's lasted all these times without burning its way through the roof. Okay, so there's your type B vent. They've installed another type B vent through it to the inside. And if you look at this as a Meravent, it's rated right up here as type B. What's missing right here, everybody, at the gap between these two? Storm collar. Storm collar. Okay, everyone loves this metallic tape now. It's better than asbestos. So here's the asbestos tape. Would any of you write this asbestos tape that's friable or loose on the ductwork? Sure, you'd write this up. This tape here, seem to have a problem. Here's my fluted edge. It appears to be on top of my other pipe. It should be on the inside, plus this tape is hiding something. You gotta be very careful. This tape they're using is hiding a gap. Now, I took a magic marker and I put these marks on here because I said this must be repaired properly. And they said they repaired it, and I said, well, the magic marker marks are still there, so I know you didn't do it. So that's why I did it. Okay. This is your induction fan. This is the blower fan that turns on when I key the thermostat. It looks like we had a fire here, and a little, it caught on fire and it's overheated. Would anyone turn on your furnace now, or are you done with that inspection? Or you want to prove it's still working?
We're done.
Done.
Done. Okay, thank you. That was easy. Okay, there's my sediment trap. Now, let's look at the gas line. We talked about this. Big bell reducer, smaller, half-inch, smaller, half-inch. So the reason I'm pointing this out, we're seeing a lot of people, DIY installers, where they're putting a T in here and they're running two gas appliances off a half-inch. And that's not right. I can't run more than one appliance, all things being equal. I know somebody's wrong, but either way, a half-inch pipe is rated for about 33,000 to 35,000 BTUs, and that's what a water heater is rated at. The problem is these furnaces are on demand, sort of. They're not on demand, but either way, but they're rated for higher, but they still will function on this half-inch pipe, generally, if the manufacturer says that's what you can hook up. So take a look up in here. You turn this on. You're checking for air leakage along the sides. Got a rigid pipe. Here's our sediment trap right here. Now, is there a length this trap has to be? Minimum. Does it have to be longer?
3 inches.
3 what?
3 inches.
3 inches. That's the minimum. And you have to look really hard to find that, but I think it's in the gas code, and then the manufacturer say, can it be longer? Yeah, sure. Whatever, they don't care. So these gas valves with the red handles are rated for gas typically, and the blue ones are rated for water, because blue is for water and red is for gas. So how do you know? Well, you look at the side and it says the word gas on it. Okay, so you need to read what it says on the label. All gas valves now must be operated without a tool. Gas shutoff valves must be operated without a tool. And I couldn't find that reference, so if somebody's like a code geek can look that up for me, that'd be excellent. But it changed a couple years ago from another type of valve. Okay, so let's take a look. I call these the Indiana Jones T. Indiana Jones is running down the gas line here, and he tries to jump and make a right angle turn, and he can't. And he falls down into this hole here, and you can't get back up. So this is what we want. The sediment comes down, drops off, and falls into this. So when they're installed incorrectly, we'll look at one of those and we'll see what's going on. Now, is these two registers cut into the door? Bad or good? Bad? Bad? Bad. Okay. I can't use dilution air and air relief from the living space. Okay, so, and plus these registers here have the wrong, then everyone starts writing it up and says, oh, the screen is wrong, blah, 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 there's not enough. It's still wrong. Stop writing. Control yourself. Okay, the register is printed right on there. Here it is, 50 of free air. Oh, look at it, it says it right on it, 56 inches of free air. But you can't see this ever because everyone paints the hell out of the registers. Okay, louvers, grills, I'm sorry, grill. Grill. Thank you, Blaine. Okay, now, I find these so much that the realtors are scared of me now. I could tell this was broken because it had burned a hole through this area. These elbows are not meant to be structural. They're just meant to be turning, and they're trying to use them as structure. So they took all these screws trying to screw this sucker together to hold it into place. If I look up here, am I in an attic? Look, here's the attic.
Mm-hmm.
See this? Can any of the single wall pipe ever be in an attic? No. I have to have type B vent in attics. Single wall is to not be in an attic. Okay. So again, I got this tape wrapped around here. Maybe they're hiding something. When I see the glue that's on the tape melting and running down the sides, I know there's a problem. Okay, I turn the unit on. I like to see some blue flame. In this case here, I turn it on. Oh, that's a great picture. Look how close it is. Up here is my safety shut-off control. I turn this flame on. I see what it's like. I stand to the side in case there's some blowback so I don't, burn off my eyebrows. But every once in a while, we'll have an inspector, get a call. Oh, inspector can't show up. The furnace turned on and blew up in his face. Well, again, move your face away when it's turning on. But either way, anybody have any problems with this one here? They don't like the color of it or something? Here's another shot here. So in the winter, when we're turning on furnaces, we always take a picture proving we turned it on. This way we don't have to prove anything. Operated furnace, boom, there it is. Okay, here we are back to this flue. I need to have a 1-inch clearance between the sewer pipe and the flood rim. The reason they made this big, the inspector made them make this bigger. This is plastic, so we don't care. But in this case here, in this room, let's see how many people we have that are plumbers. Follow this down. Here's my trap. Follow this up. And what's here at the top of the page? Air admittance valve. Go ahead. You were going to say it.
AAV.
Okay. Can it be in the same room as the water heater? I don't know. We'll have to look up and see what the manufacturer says. What do you think they say about can it be in a bathroom? Let's do it that way. Can I have the AAV exposed in the bathroom, or does it have to be behind a little door in the wall? Yeah. So I'd have to look up that brand and see what it says about installing it in the mechanical room next to the water heater and open flame to see what it is. So either way, I wrote that up, and when I came back, it was gone. So there must be a rule about it. I should probably look that up. But if I have the AAV valves, I have to have 1 to atmosphere. So if you're at a house where they've installed these things on the inside, I have to have 1 atmospheric vent. 1 atmospheric vent. Okay, here's the valve that is the valve you need to replace. This required a wrench at one time, and many of you that are older would put your wrench on this and it would snap off, and then that would be the end of your day because there's no way to replace this thing. It's in 2 pieces of pipe from each end, so I'd have to spend the time to try to fix this. So this type of valve leaks a lot, So they tighten this nut to pull the wedge-shaped piece back into the valve itself. So this is a soapy water or surfactant tested valve. Or here's a case where you'd use your sniffer if you're going to be sniffing these things. Again, we call for a pressure test on any gas line over 20 years. And then they hire a plumber, and the plumber comes over and checks it. We used to use the testing devices. I have a whole pile of them laying on shelves here. I can ship them to you if you'd like. Just put new batteries in them. We don't do any gas testing. The gas company does it, and the plumbers do it. Gas flue pipe came apart. Here it is. The whole top of the ceiling was sort of burned and singed. This was one where they called up and said, we have headaches. We can't figure out why. And the fumes from here were getting sucked into the house in another location. Oh, here we go. For extra credit, take a look. This is the backside of plasterboard, button board. It has another name. Anybody? Rocklath is a brand name called Rocklath. So this is a plaster, scratch, brown, and a finish coat. It's 3/8 thick. It's taped, 3x5 sheets, and then they plastered it. So we know this house was built 1945 to 1960-ish, roughly, just based on that. Here's your grill again. Bad. We don't have to. They used drywall screws for another function here. Does anyone write up drywall screws used? They're called drywall screws for a reason, so I write them up all the time. It's not a big deal, but they're still wrong. Okay, here we got a gas flue pipe coming up, and it got bigger. I'd have to look up the manufacturer and see, is that gas flue pipe, if it starts out at 1.5 inches and goes to 3 inches, is that what the manufacturer asked for it to expand immediately? What would be the requirement on a power vent high efficiency unit? I don't know. I wrote it up and said this should be checked because I didn't know. I'd have to look it up. Here it has the float switch. Here I'm taking a look and it's telling me it's 2013. It was made at 1247. I follow this up here and I don't see anything on here that says that pipe can be used as venting. There's nothing on there that says it can be used as venting. I don't see any glue on the joint, so usually I try my best to pull them apart to see, and I just sort of grab them and see if they pull apart. If you put this pipe together for fitting and you don't come back for a day, the next day you can't pull it apart with a jackhammer because it expands, but either way, there's supposed to be some solvent welded part on there. Okay, extra credit, I see blue light. What is it? Sorry, looking at the camera. UV light. Private. Okay, UV. Thank you, David. Hannon. Okay, UV light. We don't inspect these and we're not required to, but I took a picture of it to show the light was on because they kept making a big deal out of the fact we have UV light. Whether it's hooked up properly, hell, I don't know. Okay, here's your safety switch. It's been taped off because I like to have the fan running at all times. The safety switch is there for what reason? To shut it off. Now, I did another class and everyone said I would never write that up. I don't have a clue why they would say that. Can we have a thumbs up? How many would write that up? Thank you. Everyone would write this up because it's bad. Thank you. Okay. It's called a safety switch for a reason, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Travis, I love that. Thank you. Okay. Now, for extra credit, looking at this room, this is a pre-manufactured house to the right. They've added an addition. I want you to look at this closely, and based on your observation methods of what you see right now, what do you think is wrong? We got two things wrong here. Number one, the bedroom window opens into another room. What's wrong with that? I have to have two ways to get out of every bedroom. One outside, so that means I'm climbing through the bedroom window into a bedroom. That's number one. Now this bedroom here is outside. Pre-manufactured homes, if you do a lot of these, they pull their combustion air and dilution air from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
What they do. So I have my louvered door here. Until I open that door right now, I am pulling that air from a sleeping room. Is that okay? No, we saw that earlier. So all things being equal, when I was saying, looking at this, we have to make sure that we're not pulling our combustion air from living space, specifically bedrooms. And then everyone always says, well, of course there is a furnace. Oh, there is a water heater. Well, yeah, there are all these other things, but unless someone sees one of those every day, I'm going to write this up and have it checked for safety because it's unsafe. Can we ever pull air out of a sleeping area to make something else run? No. The answer is no. No, 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 no. Okay, those of you that used to shovel coal as a kid, back when you were on the farm. Oh, popcorn ceiling. Let's move back here. Thank you, David. Okay, this ceiling up here, many of you might write this up. I always make a note of this, that these type of ceilings were known to possibly contain some sort of asbestos fiber as a binder to hold them together. The largest asbestos mine on the planet is in Globe, Arizona, and they talk about how unsafe it is, and yet there's motorhomes parked around it in the summer because they like the glistening effect of the fibers floating in the air. But either way, so we would write this up for testing. If you do remove it, 3%, I think that's the rule now, 3% chrysotile fiberglass would be bad for you. Again, it has to be friable, so it gets in your lungs, and if it's in your lungs, then it's bad for you. Very good. Thank you, David. Back to this thing here. I don't know, throw some coal in there, and then you got some heat. So first you shovel it in, then they had an auger, and then now these all been converted into gas. These units leak a little bit of fumes. I just thought I'd mention that. So if you're running around with a tester in your hand, it's going off while you're standing there because they're leaking fumes everywhere. Okay, this is a pre-manufactured home. Can I have a gas flex line inside the furnace box? Yes or no? This is a legal case. I want everyone to know this. This was part of a legal case. The inspector is being sued because all they did is they went to the manufacturer. They pulled the manufacturer's installation guide, and guess what it says? This is wrong. It was so easy. I said, well, you're going to pay. You're wrong. Excuse me. It said I must have a rigid pipe inside the firebox, inside the case. Case is what it said. Okay, so there's no sediment trap. Here's my valve. It's yellow in color, yellow or red. And it said gas line. Here's my flex to this thing. So we wrote it up. Okay, so here's the picture they always show you. Okay, so I just wanted you to look at
on that one.
Oh, this one?
On that, yeah, on that picture, if you have more than 18 inches of rise, a sediment trap isn't needed.
Yeah, right.
And with the manufactured home, you usually have 36 inches to 40 inches of rise.
Excellent. Yes, all things being equal, that is true. In our case, we just write up and say it's not there, and I let the plumber say what you just said. In this case, it's coming from under the building, so and we could have that as we come up. Thank you. Excellent. If I take a look at this page here, I can see this double wall type B vent through the attic, ceiling support, fire stop right here. So I need to have how much space on all combustible ceilings? 1 inch. I take a look here coming in. Now, some people don't like these T vents, and I see on the internet them writing them up, whatever. Total height of the vent. All your manufacturers tell you that you can't be more than 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 feet or whatever it might be up in height. They'll tell you what it is. Most of these aren't too bad, but you can look. So in this case, I got my, whatever this little dude here is called, this little cone thing.
Cow.
What's it called?
I think it's called a cow or
Okay.
a CLWL. Oh.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So like a roof jack, and then here's your draft. It's not a draft. What's this called? This little rain cap thing here.
Yep.
Storm collar.
Okay. And then here's my wind resistant UL listed vent cap. See, wind resistant. Okay. So then, depending on the slope of your roof, determines how high this has to be. And usually you can tell if it's not correct because you come down here on the top of the water heater, you're going to see blowback where soot is blowing back, or the little rings on your water lines are melted away from the backdrafting. There's a red ring and a blue ring, and they're put on there for a reason. They're melted. They don't want them to be melted, but it tells you got backdrafting. So we can see here they've got the proper connectors installed. We come down here, and here's our furnace. Now, what's wrong with this? Is the furnace higher BTU than the furnace.
Yes. Or the furnace is higher BTU than the water heater,
So
and the big guys should be pushing the little guy.
Right. So this is wrong. This is in a book that a lot of you are using. I just thought I'd mention this. So the water heater is probably rated at 30,000 BTUs or 33. It's 40 gallons. And so here we go. It's raised up in height, so we know it's probably in the garage. And the height on this has to be off the floor a certain distance. Now, we had the vapor-resistant water heaters, and those can be mounted on the floor, but most of your building municipalities still aren't allowing the builders to put them on the floor. They're still requiring that they put them up in height in case the vapor-resistant chambers aren't functioning properly. So in this case here, the burner compartment is up above that requirement. Is it, what is it, 16, 18 inches, something like that? To combustibles, okay. So in this case, this picture is wrong. But again, I'd have to look and see. Maybe this furnace is rated really low. I don't know. What's the smallest rated BTU furnace you can have? 60,000? 40? 30? 20? Okay. We're heating kids' clothing rooms. Okay. That's it for venting. We're ready for electric. You guys break, or you want to hit electrical? Let's stop sharing a minute.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead.
Forrest.
Oh, yes.
Just a real quick, wouldn't be a bad idea to just take maybe a 3-minute bio, have somebody go to the bathroom or stretch their legs.
Why don't we do that? Right now it's 8:27. Why don't we come back at, or 8:27, sorry. 11:27.
It's 11:27.
Yeah, 11:27. So we'll give you 5 minutes.
5 minutes, and then when they come back, I got just 1 minute of something to say, and then we'll move on.
Okay. Yep. I see everyone typing in. Yes, bio break, please, please. Okay. Someone had mentioning orphaned water heaters. Okay, so I muted everyone's mics unless you want to talk, because some of you like went to the bathroom and left your mics on full blast.
All right, I'm going to go ahead so that you have all the time that you can have for your the electrical part.
Okay.
Just real quick, wanted to also mention, as we all know, the virus has thrown the state and the licensing thing way behind, and we don't know exactly how long that's going to take. And I don't know everybody's background on the call, what you do have and what you don't have, or what you are interested in. But we are also going to have a National Home Inspection Exam prep class that the date is going to be named later. That will be an in-class probably after the first of the year for those of you that that have the need for that, or know someone or have an inspector maybe that wants to take the NHIE. It's a handy little class to sort of teach you how to take the test and give you multiple chances at taking with the questions that are very similar to the NHIE questions, not the same, but same type of multiple choice questions. So peer review next week, NHIE down the road, probably into next year. And then our expo that we always have the end of February, 1st of March. We are talking about what exactly we're going to be doing, but that probably is going to be a one-day event, virtual, that will have a number of interesting speakers as well. So when we break at the end, we'll go ahead and let you go. So I am going to say, I'm not leaving the call, but I'm just going to say thank you all for coming. We appreciate it, and hope to see you at more of our events throughout this year and in the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. I want everyone to know all the work that Forrest and Ken and all the people in the background have been doing is just an incredible amount of work for your chapter and for you as inspectors. So they're in the background getting all that work done. That's why everything's working out for y'all. And thank you for all of you getting up at 8:30 this morning. Really appreciate it. It was five for me in Arizona. Okay, we're going to start with electrical. Now, what I'm going to do is no writing. It's just pictures for defects. So if you got a question, you got to type it in here or unmute your mic and ask away. Now, I got two questions up here. Will I be mentioning orphaned water heaters? I will have to say again, I don't know what that means. Blaine, since Blaine wrote it, do you want to click on your mic, Blaine, and tell me what that means, or someone else? Maybe he's using the bathroom. Okay. Well, he's thinking. Ron, you said, how can a rigid pipe be turned into a coupling without a union, which is illegal inside the furnace? Well, you screw it into the gas valve, it comes out to the outside, and then you can use whatever you want. So rigid piece of pipe, that's the rule. I see this wrong all the time on test questions. They'll show a picture and there it is in the picture of the furnace. It's wrong. I can't have a device where I can disconnect the gas inside the furnace case. That's the rule. They do make a two-way screw fitting. No one uses those anymore. Ron, I hope I answered your question. If you're back, if not, we'll answer it as we go. Okay. Is it been? Yeah. Okay. It's been 5 minutes. Okay, everybody. Here we go. This is an SRU plug. This is 15 amps, not 20. So if we take a look, it's a polarized outlet. In this case, it's not. So right side's always hot. Take a look. Here's your ground. Behind here is your fuses. Your fuses will be rated at 15 or 20. How do you know? Flip this down and you'll take a look. This must be a time delay or a slow blow. It's going to be not an Edison-based fuse. Let's do it that way. It's not an Edison-based fuse. It must be the type that only that fuse fits in there. David Carroll, what's that kind of fuse called?
You mean a bus?
Well, that's a brand name. Yeah.
That's a brand, isn't it? Right.
Brand. Yeah. It's the type when only that size fits in there.
Type A.
S.
Yep.
Type S. Yeah. So it's a type S that has a certain screw fitting on it. So how you tell, and you guys will get better at this, you unscrew that fuse. Don't worry, you're not destroying anything. Unplug it, look in there, and at the very bottom, it'll tell you that a 15 amp type S fuse is to be installed. So we want to change the Edison base fuse. What's Edison based? It's the base of a light bulb, everybody. A light bulb. So back in the good old days, I shouldn't tell you this, but either way, if I ran out of a fuse, I'd go get a light bulb, I'd screw it in here, and my furnace would work. Pretty good. Lee probably did this too. Okay. Okay. Take a look. This is loom, Loom, on the right. So do I have knob and tube in this house? Yep. Loom. They've done an inline splice. Is this approved? No.
No.
So they sell loom at the, I was at the car store the other day. They sell loom now. It's plastic, but there it is. So I got a problem, Houston. I'm going to write this up. This is the in-floor outlet. Do we allow in-floor outlets from upstairs? Can an outlet face upward? No, not unless it has the proper cover. Also, I'm required to support this Romex wire, NM, Nancy, NM. And I can't have exposed wires sticking out of the box. So I think it's 8 inches from a box. Anybody know? On framing? I don't know. 8 inches. Thank you, Lee. Okay, here they've taken out a fuse box and now they're using it as a junction. I've got some wires coming in here. So wire nuts or wire connectors or mark-ins or something. I don't know. It's whatever they call them in Canada. As I look in here, here, I'm going to put my mouse here. So over here, I see a single wire coming in, probably knob and tube with some loom. They brought this in. It's coming through a connector here again. My God, I don't know why I didn't get electrocuted. But either way, I got knob and tube here, and we're trying to make all these other connections. In fact, I think this is probably Blaine's house. But either way, so I got all these connections here and wires coming in, and here we got 3 or 4 of them pulled together. I wrote this up. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 4 neutrals underneath one wire nut or lug. How many can I have there? What's the rating of a red wire nut for? This looks to me like it could be, it's white wire. So this is for color coding. Is this 14 gauge wire, do you think? Yeah, so 3 to 4 wires, typically 5 and above is wrong. So I wrote this up as needing to be addressed. They're bringing in a ground wire right here. See it coming in? And they put a little ground right here, trying to make it safer. Either way, I wrote it up. This is a backfed panel. All backfed panels must have a screw or a latch holding it in. How do I know it's backfed? Well, that's the power coming in. Here it is coming in. Here's the screw. So we know it's backfed because this breaker, it's 100 amp and less, always has a hole in the breaker right here. There's a hole there. And then it screws into the bottom of the panel. So all panels are made for this to fit in. It's out of focus, but again, the screw shows up, so that's why I'm showing this. Multi-strand aluminum, there's no code requirement that it has to have antioxidant on it, but the manufacturer sometimes states that right on the label of the door, and if it does, then I need them. Again, bad wire connection, floor outlet facing upward. I write this up. Is that a 15 or 20 amp receptacle? 15. Thank you. I'm reading your lips, Lee, very nicely. Thank you. If I take a look here at this panel box, I'm backfeeding the panel box from the right-hand side. How do I know? Well, I'm guessing the 2 big fat wires coming in from the right. So when I'm backfeeding a panel box,
They make those for floors.
Oh, say what?
They make those outlet boxes for floors, but
right here,
it's obviously a lot more. They're obviously a lot more expensive than what he's using there.
Oh, well, sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they make stuff. I mean, but I've cut 1,000 holes like this in the floor myself, but now I'm an inspector, so I have to write these up, right?
Yeah, they use them in gyms a lot.
Yeah, sure. So this box here, we're backfeeding the panel. I must secure the backfed breaker. Okay. The rest of the breakers there, they're not lined up, so they don't fit. So this big fat one here doesn't even look like it's in there. It's shut off. This one's not fitting proper. This is square D. That's not a square D panel. So I got a lot of issues here, so I'm going to write it up because I like to live. This is a shower. I see this on the internet all the time, and everybody says, hey, what's the big deal? I just brush off my hand and turn that switch on. Is anyone writing this up? It's outside. Okay. The rule says switches and outlets must be what? How far away from a shower or a tub? Outside the cylinder? Yeah, something like that. Whatever. But are you going to write this up anyway?
Yes.
Yeah, but write it up. Come on, just move on. Write it up and move on. They can move that to the other side of the wall, and they can make their own decision. Okay. Orphan water heater is when the furnace is changed to high efficiency and the original vent is no longer used. Oh, okay. Thank you. I didn't know that. That's what it's called. I'm gonna have to look that up. Is that a code thing? Is it called that on the internet? Somebody come on and make a verbal statement about that, will you?
Well, it would involve the fact that now the B vent is probably oversized if you've had both a furnace and a water heater on it. So you're probably going to have drafting issues with the water heater.
Oh, okay, yeah. But is that orphaned water heater? Is that a term that's used somewhere in a book somewhere? Where did it come from? We don't know. Okay, it's just an Ohio word. I like it, like Buckeye. Okay. Anybody gonna write this baby up? It's 120 volts, 30 amps. I don't even have to look any farther. There's one circuit in this house. Now, do you think we're fusing the neutrals in this house? There aren't any. We're not fusing them because there's one fuse. Okay, so 30 amp fuse here. Now, this house here has a 120 volt circuit. Here's the two wires coming in. Here's my neutrals. I don't know why I have so many. Well, they're feeding through this meter, the neutrals into the next house next door with the meter base over here. You know, back when they did this, they don't know why people got electrocuted. It was invisible. But either way, so this wire was wire that was used 20 years earlier for the telegraph, and it was bare, and then they covered it because people were getting shocked for some reason. So everyone would write this up as needing immediate replacement, or is this like a further review for later?
No, it's bad.
Bad. Okay, now the code, again, this is another internet thing. Everyone's fighting over the fact of how many circuit shutoffs you can have in a house. You can have 6 disconnects to a house. That's the code, everybody, 6. But all panels made today have a rule that they have to have no more than 2 shutoffs. So if I'm making a breaker panel, main disconnects, let's do it that way. So here's my 2 main disconnects in this panel. So this panel is probably rated at 300 or 400, but there's a main breaker here at the top, another breaker here, and that breaker runs off to a sub panel somewhere. This is done in the factory, this top one. These other breakers down below are 2 pole, 240 volts. So this is my main panel. So if I come down here and look, here's my grounding bar here, and I have this bar coming across the back side of my bus. Oh, how do we spell the word bus? 1 S, like a bus you're driving. 1 S, 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 S. Bus is a brand name. B-U-S-S, that's with 2 S's. Bus fuses. But the bus in your panel, I wish they would just use one word so we wouldn't have to think so hard. Okay, so here it's telling me that the plumbing system inside the house is non-metallic. It's so what does that matter? No bonding?
No, or grounding.
No grounding. No grounding. Thank you. So it says electrical ground. It says right there on the panel. Plus, it's a non-metallic and it's this plastic stuff. So here's my main. Now, the reason you don't see this is a factory installed main, everybody. So when I'm buying a panel and the factory installed main is there, this breaker is about $200, but they'll sell you the whole panel for $150 because they want you to put it in. But when I go to the store, I don't want to buy one of these. So that's why they see breakers with 4 different breakers tied together with one panel cover. Okay, now we're going to stare at this panel real quick, and I want you to tell me what's wrong with it. Bulldog. Here, I'll say it quickly. Bulldog, 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 push-o-matic.
That's what's wrong with it.
Okay, now that I've said that 3 times, here's how the breakers function. Take a look at the top left breaker. That's a 240 2-pole breaker. When the left side trips off, it must pull the other breaker off. These breakers don't have internal trip. The way they trip is I pull the handle off. So breakers trip for what reason? Heat, heat, heat. And when the bimetallic strip heats up, the breaker trips off. Well, it's only occurring on one leg, so it has to pull the other leg off. So these Bulldog things were the greatest breakers on the planet. They never trip. You never have to reset them. They last forever until they cool off the ashes of the house. Okay, so I'd write these up all day long and move on. So let's move on. Okay, this one looks pretty. Now I have 3 color codes for wiring, and for extra credit, in the code, there is only one color that's required, 2 colors that are required to be in a panel that are dictated in the code. In other words, they tell you the color of the wire. I almost fell over when I looked this up, and I've been doing this for like 40 years. The green wire, which is ground, shall not be used for anything except ground. Green for ground. It shall be used for no other purpose. Okay? And orange for the 208 leg on 240 power for 3-phase. That's it. So neutral. So in this country, we know that neutral is white, the neutral conductor. Either way, let's just make it simple. The neutral one, the white one, is going to be my neutral. All other hot wires are red or black typically. They can be brown, blue, the boy colors. We can work around. The only one that's required by code to have a color is my orange one, which is my 208 high leg on 3-phase. So take a look at the panel here, and oh my God, these are beautiful. I mean, electrician-wise, I would say, oh man, this guy's been bending these all day long. The problem is I have to have a radius on some of these, but I don't care. It looks pretty. So there's the panel. I just took this picture to show you. Okay, so those of you that do electrical, this is the best way you do it. You get on your phone, you climb up a ladder. Somebody sent me this picture, so if you're in it, let me know. And he's working on something. Why? He's on his phone, probably because he's calling the hospital when he falls.
Working an inspection.
Yeah, he's booking an inspection. There you go. Yes, that's it. Okay, now these are square D. How do we know? Well, square D is in love with their breakers. So let's take a look at the left side here. HOM, so that's residential. I can put 1 aluminum. Look right here. 1 aluminum or 2 copper. It says it right there on the breaker. So that means this breaker is designed. So if I take a look, there's a little hook here and a little hook here. The wires fit in on each side of this, and I can hook 2 wires up. So this breaker is designed for 2 wires. Hey, look right here, 2 coppers. It says it right here. Now, it doesn't tell me they have to be the same size though, does it? So this breaker here, I can't see the handle, but let's pretend it's 20. Could I have a 14 here and a 12 over here? I don't know. I'd have to look. The answer is usually no. Let's just say no. Let's just say no, everybody. Okay, now all breakers today are designed for HACR type. They just are. They just are. So there it is. So time delay to take care of any motor. So almost any breaker I buy, I can hook it up, and it's just designed that way already for the surge. Okay. This breaker panel here, as soon as you see it, I can just step back, throw my hands up in the air, and say, "Danger, danger." What's the problem with this? It's already on fire. So this is a I don't know, what are the brands associated with this thing?
Zinsco, Sylvania.
Yep.
Okay. So everybody take a look at that, Zinsco and Sylvania. The problem with this is right here. The bus bar was aluminum back when aluminum was new. So these bus bars ran up along the inside here. And the problem is aluminum, the coefficient of expansion on aluminum is huge. It's a huge amount, everybody. So I tend to get arcing. Now, in this panel, if you take a look, do you see all these wires here that look like they're white hooked to breakers? Why are they? Oh, I see. They're 240 breakers. See right here where the 240 are? So they've got all these white wires hooked up. Whole breaker. What's the rule? It needs to be needed for its purpose. So you need to mark that. Okay. Either way, I would have been done with this and moved on. It's dangerous. I move on. Here, someone sent me this. It's a bucket. For some of you that can't tell, it's not grounded or GFI protected. That's what it is. Whatever. Okay, so this panel box here is a factory panel box. I know that because the wires come down with this nice turn. It's rated 100 amps. What's the minimum requirement today for all electrical? 100 amps. 100 amps. So let's move on. Here I have a GFCI on the outside panel. Is it tripped? Look at the handle. It's tripped. How many of you will reset that when you get there if it's tripped? Nobody. No one will reset it. Okay. So it's already tripped off. I'm looking, the breakers all seem to be the same. This wire here looks like it's black. This one looks like it's aluminum. This wire here has a special purpose. It's underground feeder or UF. It has a waxy exterior. It's hooked to the GFCI and it runs down through the panel. So we might say it looks like the outside circuits aren't working. Now we'll run around and test them. Hi, Jerry. Thank you. Okay, we're looking up at this panel. I want to know how much power is at the very top of this thing. So I'm going to put my little marker way up here. So if some of you could please shoot a video, hold a 4-foot light bulb in your hand and climb up a tall ladder. Don't do it, it's very dangerous. But sometimes you get close enough that the light bulb will start shining because of the frequency of the electrical coming off that wire. But this is 3-phase up here. So take a look. There's 4 wires, there's 3-phase. Then we're stepping it down to 600 volts for our house, and then we're sending it into our house. So here we go. Here's our triplex coming off. So all wiring on the pole starts out. The lowest hierarchy is telephones on the bottom, then cable right up here. Why is this loop put in? Everyone always asks me, why is this loop here? The wire expands and contracts. I've got to have something in there for it's shrinking. So telephone, cable, power. That's the hierarchy. Okay, now everyone keeps writing up that this silvery stuff in cloth covered is aluminum. Once and for all, in this group, multiply and go out onto the internet, please. If it's cloth covered, I don't know, 99% of the time it's never aluminum. Unless someone can find aluminum, please send me a picture. Either way, so I took a screwdriver and I scratched this off. On one of the internet sites, the guy said, take a knife, stick it into the panel. I'm going, well, undoubtedly, he's the only guy who's alive in that area. Do not stick a knife ever into your panel and scrape it off. So I scraped it off, and you can see it's copper. Coated with what? Tin.
Tin.
Tin. It's not nickel, it's tin. Okay? And we'll discuss that in another class, why tin's used. Okay, this is a split bus panel, 1978. How do we know it's split bus? Because I can have up to 6 disconnects on a house. Take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Usually they're 240 volts at the top. The 60 right here. Here's my factory. It comes down and controls everything below it. Here's my GFCIs. Here's my 2-pole breaker. Here's my black and my red. There's a neutral somewhere. That's a 2-pole 15. I can come down here. They put all these twins in the box, so we have to look and see if twins are allowed in here normally. Who knows? Then we could come back up here. This must be a main panel because I have grounds and neutrals on the same bus, but I could never have more than one white wire called a neutral under one lug. Okay? I can't have more than one white wire under a lug. So David and I looked this up yesterday. Actually, David looked it up and I just wrote it down because he was good at doing that. It's listed in the IRC and the NEC, and it's been there since, I don't know, forever. Okay, so this rule, I'm going to give you the numbers so you can write it down. 408.41. 408.41. 408.41. Okay, then in the IRC, it's 3706.4. 3706.4. Okay, so again, we can take this other urban legend out and just stop. Electricians go, I've never heard of that. Well, undoubtedly, you don't know what the code book says. It's been there it's actually been there since 1979, everybody. Okay, it's been a rule since the 70s. Okay, let's move on. Oops, sorry. Okay, the bus bar is melted. Look back in here. Do you see all that buzzing there? It's usually making a singeing mark. Now, would you write this up for further review, or the panel must be inspected for safety immediately and replacement if needed? Okay, now I've had only one electrician who's ever said, I fixed the panel and it's okay. And I said, well, why didn't you plug the breaker back into the bus? He said, because it's damaged. You're going, okay, whatever, man. Whatever. What we're doing for time here. Okay. This is the doorbell this guy put in. It's an old horn from a semi truck. I think is what it is. Wooga, wooga.
Well, they have one GFCI for the whole house or what?
Where? Here?
Yeah, on that panel.
Well, yeah, 1978, they were happy to have a GFCI for bathrooms. So we've moved
What are you
forward
gonna
now.
grandfather them, or do you mention AFCIs or what?
Oh yeah, sure. I like people to live so they can pay their mortgage and pay. So
Yeah,
yeah, so we get into the bathroom stuff, but I don't write that down here. I want to see them inside. See, this is old school where it's out in the panel. I like to
Right.
sit inside in the bathrooms, and so I write down bathrooms don't have GFCIs, kitchens don't have them, outside outlets don't have them. So yes, yeah, we write that all up. I'm not sure why I took this picture. Oh, I do know. Double tapped wires.
Double tap.
You know, the don't get me wrong, but the realtors are sick and tired of hearing you write up double tapped wires. Don't stop. Just keep doing it. I love it. Thank you. Okay, so these wires are sticking out of the backyard, and I said, "Oh, I'm glad you capped off the ground and the neutral, and they left the two hot wires exposed." I used my volt stick on it instead of my finger because I've evolved, and they were hot, and so I went back to the panel. Now, would you have shut off the breaker panel? Would you shut off the breaker to those two unsafe wires, or would you just write it up and move on?
No need to.
I shut it off. I just shut off the breaker, and I told everybody. I said, "Well, these wires are hot. They've wire nutted off the other two, and it's sort of weird." So I'm not fixing anything, but I'm not going to leave. You know, if somebody gets shocked and someone said, "Well, all you had to do is flip the switch," because I hate, you know. So, okay, take a look. That's a disconnect. Are the fuses okay? You know, one's facing up, one's facing down, but I can't read the labels. But are those time delay fuses? They are. So the size, I don't know. I really don't care right now. The wire nuts, the blue wire nuts are for wires above 12 gauge. I don't know if those are correct. Don't care right now. Don't know. You see the ground. The disconnects on the top right here. Okay, but I want you to look right here. Do you see how the plastic is sort of melted? Take a look. It's sort of out of shape, and this is sort of out of shape here. This is a different color than over here. So this panel box, they even said there'd been a fire and it was connected and fixed. And you're going, well, I can see the plastic's all melted out of shape. So I wrote it up. Okay, in this case here, the wires, now this is aluminum. Is this aluminum? I can see some copper there. So again, it looks like tinned copper. Either way, I can see it right here. These don't fit. What's the rule? Should all the wires fit under one lug? The rule is they should fit under one lug. So there's a lug kit. It's like a T-shaped fitting. It fits in here, comes out, and it's got a gigantic lug for these to fit in. So I write this up all day long. There's your disconnect in the middle and two disconnects each direction. Are they within reach without climbing over the air conditioner? Like scurrying through here? Yes.
Sort of.
This is a water meter. Oh, here's your outside combustion air and air relief. Remember, 1/4-inch screens, no smaller. This is a water meter. This is someplace where it's not freezing to death. But either way, they have a battery here, and they've used PVC pipe as your water main. I just took a picture of that. Okay, this fitting. I like fittings that don't fit together or are not designed to fit together or never will fit together. But either way, they're protecting this orange wire by color coding. David, are you on? Can you, for this one? That's probably number 10 wire, like for a dryer, something like that. Here's a compression fitting. Outside fittings are always the same compression. If this are concentric knockouts here, the rule is I must have a bonding bushing. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. Okay, this is a 15 amp single pole. This is a 30 amp 2-pole. This is a 2020 twin. So these are single pole. That's what they're rated at, single pole. This is a 2-pole breaker. Right here it says common trip. It says it right here in the middle. What's that mean? That handle can stay on, but the breaker can have no power. The breaker handle doesn't have to move for there not to be any power. That's why when you get to a house, you go, well, the dryer's not working. Well, yeah, because it tripped off internally. So you have to take your volt stick and drag it across these wires and see if they're hot. Okay, what's wrong with the fan besides the bulb is missing? This is a complaint. I just want to know. So some of these pictures are the best. The complaint.
Missing a blade.
Yeah, the blade is missing. Come on, man. He wrote down bulb is missing. And he bought a fan. Either way, there you go.
Blaine, or I'm sorry, Brick,
Yes.
we are 12 o'clock right now.
We are, okay.
And so we've got some people that probably have other commitments and so forth, and they have met their commitment with us.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that to you. If you want to continue, if the people want to volunteer and stay on, but as far as the 3-hour commitment,
Yeah, my back
we're there.
15 minutes. That's it. I'm only going 15 minutes, and I got to go. So if you guys want to stay on 15 minutes longer, I'm going to do that. Then I'm shutting it off. Is that okay? Okay, 15 minutes. Here we go. So 12:15. Fan, and I'm going to move quicker. Here we go. Just like I do an inspection. Bucket, bad. Breaker, loose, bad. Wires exposed on new construction, no box. Oh, we did use connectors, bad. Disconnect, bad. They did mark the panel. They have pool lights. I have to write this down if there's no markings. Here, the sub panels inside. I can have grounds together, good. Neutral can't be sharing this if it's a sub panel. The label here tells me twins at the bottom, right here, twins. I took this picture because I said to them, you're gonna have to buy a lot of light bulbs. Bonding, the wire's there, but there's no screw. I wrote it up. This panel here is being, oh, okay. So I have wiring from 1950, 40, right here. See it, cloth covered? Again, it's not aluminum. It's not aluminum. There it is again, cloth covered. It's not aluminum. Split bus right here. This is broken. That was easy. I didn't have to be that smart. Labels, labels. I can't run a gas line through the outside case. We discussed that earlier. I can't put neutrals and grounds together all day long. 408 point something. I can't use a green wire ever for power, ever. Bad. I'm double tapping into a system. One wire is bigger than the other. Bad. Not sure which this one is. Oh, double tapped wires at the top. Still bad. 2 shutoffs is required by code. This is single strand aluminum. I write this up as bad because it's not usually big enough. So this is number 10, or in this case, it's number 8, rated for 30 amps. This is a split bus panel. Here's the split. It's 60 amps. Backfed panel. Here's the outlet right there. This is an all-electric home back in 1978. They had a different meter for that. This is your disconnect for your, I can't use a Romex cord as a cable. I can't use Romex. And who says that? Actually, Romex doesn't say I can't do that, NMB, but it's not rated as a cord. This is my main electric service rubbing up and down on the sewer vent pipe in a house from 1950. It's almost rubbed a hole in the wire, so I was very scared to touch any outlets inside. So, and the tree's a problem. Main electric service. Okay, the rule is I can't hook any low voltage equipment ever to electrical. I can't hook any low voltage to electrical ever. So telephone, cable cannot be hooked to any underground service or any high voltage electrical box. It was done for years, but it's been the code forever. I got water coming through the panel. Bad, write it up. I'm using a mirror because my neck is bad. I'm looking up and I can see the disconnect is wrong, bad. I write it up. I'm looking into the furnace and there's water running through the furnace. There's soot up here at the top. Bad, I move on. Rigid pipe through the furnace. Bad. Water inside the furnace. Bad. Here it's a 30-40, so that's 40 full size or 30 breakers with twins. The rating is 40 breakers total. Here it's showing me on the panel box. Twins go in the bottom. Typically they're at the bottom, everybody. Breaker can trip or not trip. Here it tells you what these are right off the panel box. You don't have to look very far. This is a lockout for a breaker panel. so I can lock this out so some goofball can't turn that on while I'm at the house. And you say, yeah, leave the power off. And they go, oh, yeah, turn the power on. And then they turn it on and then you get shocked. The sun solar are backfed into the panel. These are unsafe, but they put this here so that you know that when you're being shocked, you should have read it. Knob and tube still existing out here on the panel, incredibly unsafe. It's only been that way for 200 years, or 100 years, sorry. Floor outlet with plugs coming up. I write that up all day long. I put a GFCI in the bathroom, so it must be safer. And then I put this long plug here so I can reach this from the toilet area, plug stuff in. Again, bathroom outlets, and then there's the wire running up through the outside of it. This breaker panel, the breakers never trip, unsafe. I write it up, move on. Still unsafe, write it up. 2 wires on 1 breaker, write it up. I'm looking at the burner compartment of a water heater, and here's your burner compartment with your, I took this because it was up high enough I could get down and take a nice picture, but they said it wasn't working. I said, well, yeah, there's no flame. It's not on. Okay, this is a lockout on the 240 breaker. So this is called a 2-pole breaker. I can't have more than 40 poles in a panel. 40 poles. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, 40 poles. This panel here has no main disconnect, probably because one of them, it's a split bus. So if I take a look here, this orange one, the wires come down, they come back up, and they come into the panel. So from here up, 6 disconnects. That's the rule. So that's a split bus panel. The top half of this panel is never off. It's always on. Dangerous as hell. Down below are my other circuits. I'm showing here neutrals and grounds on a panel, but here I'm showing some oxidation on this. Bad. This is an FP panel. I don't waste any time looking at it. I write up as bad and move on. Here's my fuses and my disconnect. On residential, fuse panels don't have a lockout on them. Only commercial do. So I got to make sure there's not a problem here. But I can't have 2 wires of dissimilar size ever hooked up to a fuse. What they did here, they used an inline connector to make the wire smaller. It's still bad. I wrote it up. I moved on. Still bad. Wrote it on. I'm plugging in my tester and only 1 light's on. The other one's barely on. That's called ghost power. That's where the wire is barely hooked up to the outlet inside. That's bad. This is a 15 amp polarized outlet. Take a look. The right side is always your hot side, and it's polarized. So that means that's the hot side. This is 15 amps. 20 it'd have to be here. Somebody asking a question, rubbing your mic. Urine. They have a bat here, so it must be from bats. This panel box here, here's your main breaker. We don't see these much anymore because they're super expensive. But what I wanted to show you, this is properly installed. Whenever I have a surge protector, it's required to be on its own breaker. That's what the manufacturers say now. So a lightning arrest or a surge protector, the manufacturer states it must be on its own breaker. The good old days, you came up and it was tapped in. Now, some of them say you go ahead and undo this nut up here. Well, better shut off the power. But either way, you undo it and you connect it to the top. But almost all of them say that's the connector. Now, do you see these long plastic things sticking up here? That's for the wire to go around outside of it, not inside. So I'm wiring up breakers and running this wire. It's supposed to run down outside that to keep it away from the bus. Okay, so you can use 3 black wires as long as you designate which one's your neutral. That's a pretty breaker panel with some GFCIs on the outside. I don't know if that panel's rated for those. We got 4 minutes here. Okay, so I've got 2 wires lit up. The GFI, it looks like it has reverse polarity. Bad. This type of outlet outside, bad. It's not waterproof. No protection here. I write it up, bad. Hey, mini breakers. We'll stop with this one. These mini breakers were the best thing ever designed for 1940. It's a fuse that screws in and you push that little button. So I said in one of these classes, they're not UL protected. Of course, someone proved me wrong. Thank you. I love being wrong. And he went online and sure enough, they're UL tested. Whether they're approved or not, I don't have a clue. But they screw in and they have a little thermal breaker in them and you reset them. I don't know. I'm going to have to test one of those. I'm going to do something and test them. But there it is. So The top one here is an S fuse. It has a special fitting. See, there's bus, there's the brand, UL tested. The threads are made to fit, so only that size will fit. Blue is 15, red is 20. So that size thread will only allow that size fuse to fit in there. It won't fit a dime or a penny. Where an Edison-based fuse, so here are your green ones, will fit a penny. So they used to sell something like the size of a penny. It was called a slug. And you put that in there and you said, why would you buy a slug? Because they were less than a penny. It was weird. So I have heard you say that you write up all split bus panels to be replaced. I did say that. You heard that. Yes, thank you, Craig. Split bus panels are bad. You can't shut off the power. Cooler, timers, oh, no safety cover. These are, fuse panels are unsafe too. I write those up, everybody. So here's your panel. You can see here, general switch, fuse panels, unsafe. Disconnects, are they within sight? Nope, around the corner, wrote them up. They hate me. Around the corner, not in sight, hate me again. We twisted 2 wires around. It must make it better. Still bad. Still bad. Disconnect with a surge protector. 1 minute. There's our meter. I always look at the meters. It'll tell me 200 amps, 240 volts. This is from Trico. They supply power. Here's your RF signal reader right here. They put this device in here so when you pull the meter and try to steal power, they know you've been in it. This panel doesn't allow any twins. See, here's your 40 right here, everybody. It says 40. How many are allowed? 40. Here's your AC, 45 amp. They do make one. Ooh, what do you think this guy did after the wire hit that bus right there? Do you think he was changing his underwear? Yes, new underwear enforced, please. Thank you. Okay, take a look at your bus here. It's a flat bar. Twins are not allowed in that panel. Twins are not allowed in that panel. If there's a V-shaped twin there, or V-shaped mark, that allows twins typically. Again, you can prove me wrong, but 100% of the time, that's what it is. So here we got double up wires, bad. Double up wires of just similar size, bad. Main mask. When it's really tall like that, what are we supposed to have? Something here tying it off. I don't know what that rule is. 2 feet, 3 feet, whatever. It's running over another roof. I wrote that up bad. Light fixture. Don't worry, it's not that bright. It's just burning the siding there. Is that a split bus panel? If you look and there's no main, it's a split bus panel almost 100% of the time, everybody. Bad, bad again, bad, even badder. That's a mouse. He climbed in there. He's dead. Okay, the whiskers, these are called whiskers. When they carve them out and cut them to fit inside, that's bad also. White's used as hot. You're supposed to mark these all the way up. Oh, here we go. This is sort of neat. It says it right in the panel. When used as service equipment, any unused neutrals may be used for equipment grounding. So this is the one everyone uses and says, well, it says I can use it. Yeah, 1 wire. Small wire holes are suitable for 1 wire or 2 wires. Large holes are suitable for blah, blah, blah when the same size and material. Okay, it's telling you for grounding, not neutrals. It says it right there. Cutler hammer. Okay. Okay, everybody. It's been 14 minutes. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody from Ohio. Thanks for getting up. I see neutrals and grounds together all the time. You write them up. Yes, we do. I gave you the 2 numbers for neutrals and grounds. It's 408 point something and the other one. They're part of the code. They've been that way since 1979. Thank you, everybody.
408.40.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll send that.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Brick.
You're welcome. And
Thank you, Brick.
down here too somewhere. So have a great one, guys.
Thanks, Brett.
Bye.
Thanks, you too. Go Bucks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Go Bucks.